Hi, this is Naroki5. I am going to be doing this until I die or I find something better to do. So please help me achieve this personal and, I think, noble objective by contributing to my Patreon or Subscribe Star. Link is down below. Every little bit helps. Thank you very much. And hello, everybody. Welcome to the Red Pill Nation Hangout. This is the regular show. This is number 345. I am your host and not so sane. In fact, I'll just let you know right off the bat. I don't suffer from mental illness. I enjoy every second of it. We have one standard here at the Red Pill Nation, and that's no standard, which is probably why we're having such a hard time on YouTube. But, I really don't give a damn about YouTube anymore. Yep, this is the regular show of the Red Pill Nation Hangout. We almost had to do an emergency episode because of some of the topics, and I still might do it. Slight news. Yep, I made another discovery about YouTube, which soured me even more on them. I had to deal with a copyright strike over the Louis Rossman Grey J situation, which we won't get into tonight because we don't have the time. But I wasn't able to post for a week. And then when I tried to post up again afterwards to try to get caught up, there is now a limitation on the number of times that I can post up. I can only post up, I think, it's either 5 or 10 videos in a day. So it's going to take me a while to get everything caught up on YouTube. Not that it really matters because YouTube's not really my main channel anymore. Actually, I'll be straight up with you. My main channel, I've migrated over to MGTOW TV. That's my number one. That's my number one channel now. For those of you who also don't know, I am at BitChute, Odyssey, Rumble, Bradion, Facebook, Minds, Gab, MeWe, TLB Talks, and there's a couple of chat sites. I spoke all year about trying to get on Spotify and iTunes and whatnot. I've never gotten around to that. I will at some point get that started. I just never seem to find the time to get into that. But that is the show. And also, by the way, I found and DDJ knows who I'm talking about. I found an archive that has all of Spetsnaz's back content, and I have been taking the liberty. And I also found the philosophy for sorry, I'm trying to remember what the name of it. He used to go by the name Marcus MGTOW. But he had a really good intellectual channel. I've been sharing his stuff up at my MGTOW TV channel. Apparently, it's going over quite well. DDJ, you might be glad to know that Spetsnaz returned about 6 weeks ago to YouTube. Don't know where he was, but he's back. Hopefully, maybe at one point I'll be able to get him on because he is absolutely my personal favorite MGTOW content creator.
Spetsnaz is great, and I think that Spetsnaz, that whole genre of creators, Spetsnaz, Paul Proteus, Razorblade Candy, a lot of those guys had really good content, and very underrated. I know that I've been taking a hiatus from making videos for a long time, and so for myself, it's just been, I'll probably do Gab exclusives, but I haven't decided yet. But I mean, I have all my videos backed up. I know you're on BitChute, but I know a lot of my old BitChute videos, they don't play anymore for some reason, and I have a feeling it's something to do with the UK government, but whatever.
Yeah, I've noticed that. I mean, I've got the quote unquote unofficial footage, like the stuff that wasn't shown on mainstream TV about George Floyd, like the other chest cam, the one where George Floyd says probably about 10 times, but about 7 or 8 times before he's actually even on the ground that he can't breathe, and he's clearly as fucking high as a kite. And yeah, Twitter actually blocked that, prevented you from posting that video up when it was, right, as did Facebook. But it's on it's on BitChute, it's on Odyssey, and it's on Rumble, and it's on MGTOW TV, but yeah, it won't play on BitChute. And it was actually one of my more popular videos. But anyway, we're kind of getting off topic here. So yeah, Rearson, for whatever reason, it says that he's here, but for whatever reason he's not joining in or whatever. But with me tonight is so we'll go in the order of which they're going to be talking tonight. So Vinny Eastwood, introduce yourself.
Welcome, ladies, gentlemen, and hermaphrodites. The Vinny Eastwood Show is bad news. It's like the news, but worse. It's the lighter side of genocide. Just because we're being exterminated doesn't mean we can't enjoy it. Otherwise, what's the point of being killed? The Vinny Eastwood Show, where the only thing worse than living in a high-tech global police state run by child trafficking Satanists is Vinny's jokes.
Yeah, we could definitely vouch for that. Grab the popcorn, folks. DDJ, welcome, Rearson. Glad to have you on. DDJ, you're up.
Hey, everybody. DDJ, run Miss Andrew Today on YouTube, on BitChute, Odyssey, Miss Andrew Today on Gab. I have a Minds account. I hardly use it. Other than that, I'm the author of The Feminist Lie. It was never about equality. And, of course, my home away from home is Red Pill Nation.
And V? And V? V, you're up. Introduce yourself.
V must be AFK.
And then.
Well, you have to give the mute button a chance. You know it's a 30-second process. Yeah. Well, I am V, host of the Red Pill Hardcore Radio Show. I am now also the official spokesperson of TLBTalk.com. That's right, the Speech Social Network. And that's where everybody's going to be here in the future once I'm done with my tour across the United States. So people get ready for the shift. There's going to be information that should have never gotten to you, but you're going to get it. And with that, that's enough.
And of course, Rearson, who I just found out, Destiny had stolen his favorite ball gag, and that just wasn't acceptable to him, so he had to go get it back, and he just got home now. So, Rearson, let's hear your brave tale.
Or your cowardly tale.
Seriously,
Either will
man.
do. Any kind of tale will suffice at this point.
I don't know what it is with ball gags. It just seems to be right up your alley. And I don't know about that alley. But
it must be the gaggery.
Honestly. Send me an invite again.
We can hear you, bro.
We can hear you.
Yeah.
Hello?
We just heard you say send you an invite again. Unless you just hung up after that.
No, he's still here.
Okay, so
this reminds me of the scene from Iron Man 3, Where's the Mandarin? He's here, but he's not here. He's here, but he's not here.
Right, exactly.
So Rearson, can you say something, or are you is your microphone working? Don't anybody interrupt. Rearson?
Ball gag lives matter.
Rearson.
Can I ask you, while we're waiting, what is the original origin story of the ball gag kind of gig? Is it because this happens a lot?
Actually, the backstory.
Like perpetual involuntary gaggery?
Actually, it started out as Rearson wanted to do his own show, and I suggested because of his first name, which I'm not going to mention on air here because I have done it. We all know what it is, but
I don't know.
I'll type it out here, and I'll type it out here in the chat. That was my suggestion of. This is my with that was my suggestion for a name of the show, and it kind of just stuck.
Did he accept that name?
No, he did. Well, I mean, he hasn't actually gotten around to doing the show. Rearson, are you there? Do I have to send you another invite? Maybe jump on and jump off again. But yeah, that was the name of that was my suggestion for a show, and we just it just kind of stuck with them. But anyway,
What, like do the show in a ball gag kind of thing? I mean, how would the audience listen to that?
Okay, so anyway, the topics for tonight are as follows.
As follows.
As follows. Topic number 1: Marvel's box office take is so bad they have stopped reporting financial numbers. Topic number 2, because I broke this down in specific order because we wanted to kind of like group them all together. 2, Starbucks losing billions of stock value for getting woke multiple times in the past few months. Number 3, YouTuber Destiny is getting divorced. Topic number 4, Hunter Avallone has domestic situation with new girlfriend's ex that ends tragically, and oh boy, did it end tragically. And I'm not gonna be particularly forgiving of Hunter Avallone because he did play a part in it. Topic number 5 is Alex Jones coming back to Twitter/X, and then the last one, which is why Rusin has probably got some time. CTV lays off hundreds of workers. CBC in Canada is cutting staff as well. Trudeau airlifts another $129 million, and the MSM, the mainstream media in Canada, is attempting to blame Pierre Poilievre, the head of the Canadian Conservative Party, or the Conservative Party of Canada, for it, because that's just what the mainstream media here does. So anyway, now my timer is missing. I can't find my timer anymore. Oh, Rearson, are you back?
Yeah, let's try this again.
Okay,
Apparently,
introduce yourself.
Apparently, you can get a ball gag with a timepiece on it and a ring piece.
Yeah. Okay, Rearson,
Well.
introduce yourself.
This ongoing fascination that Hiroki has with ball gags, I don't know where it's from, ladies and gentlemen. I've known this guy for half my life. Up until this year, now it suddenly is a big thing for him. I don't know if there's some sort of suppressed sexual thing with him. I don't
Well,
really
you
care.
know, as you get older, your flavor change. It's
Just remember,
because clearly it's not just
and-
flavor of the month.
yeah, just remember that the first step in solving any problem is denial. So we understand.
Whatever there seemed to have a ball gag from Destiny, I assured you I shoved it up his ass because Lord knows he needs something else to go up there, and it sure as hell isn't me. So I'll leave it at that.
Okay, I'm going to have to go with the length of the call here, just because my timer seems to have disappeared on the call here. So I'm going to have to redo. I'm going to have to redo the timestamps here. But let's just get right into it here. We'll start out with the movies. Okay, I will admit. In fact, I'm a bit of a movie going hoe. I will pretty much go see anything. I saw the Marvels the Tuesday after it got released. There was hardly anybody in the theaters, which was eerily sick because when Captain Marvel first came out, right, like literally the same thing happened with this. I was the only guy in the theater until about 3 minutes before the show, and then a whole bunch, about half a dozen people showed up. Same thing happened this time. The movie wasn't all that bad. Again, though, since we're talking about Disney and Marvel Studios, although they weren't so arrogant as to say what DC did with the DCCU did with Birds of Prey, where they openly said, guys, this movie isn't about you, and then got pissed when guys actually didn't go see the movie. they marketed the Marvels as girl power, although they didn't specifically. They weren't so full of themselves this time that they didn't say, guys, this movie isn't about you. But I saw it had some funny moments. The Flurkin cat was especially funny. But again, the movie I personally thought it was even better than the original Captain Marvel movie. But I mean, I will just say this flat out: when the porn parody is more entertaining than the actual movie, you got a problem. Right? That was the problem with the Captain Marvel. I mean, so they didn't have a particularly high bar to jump in the first place. But I mean, you know, and it wasn't even necessarily Brie Larson this time, because Brie Larson, except for one little outburst when she found out that where she basically blamed toxic males, of course she did, because she's Brie Larson. Brie Larson has kept her mouth shut this time. The amount of the movie did so bad. It's going to lose. Actually, I think it's a bit of a race right now between them and Strange World as to who actually lost more money this year. The difference is that in Strange World they just stomached the loss and moved on. What ended up happening with Captain Marvel, and I saw this specifically on X/Twitter, is that, you know, the trolls came out and kept trying to hype. They finally stopped it. They finally stopped this week trying to do it. But I mean, they tried everything to try to salvage this movie, to the point of literal and absolute stupidity. So what ended up happening this week, and this is unprecedented for a big studio to actually do this, the take on the box office take from the movie, it was so bad that Disney literally stopped reporting the box office numbers. In particular, the international box office numbers. And it's like, you know, not that that's going to fool anybody, because I mean, I actually have a spreadsheet where I can kind of project out where it's going to go. Captain Marvel is going to rake in at the box office probably just under 200, probably around 200 million, give or take. Here's the issue. It cost over $200 million to make that movie in the first place. So, yeah, it's going to lose. I don't know whether it's going to be them or whether it's going to be Strange World, but I mean, you know, combined with everything else that's been going on with Disney, this is yet another catastrophic failure for Disney. And yeah, I didn't get into the stuff that's going on with Disney. We might be doing that for 346. But yeah, no, the take for Marvels was so bad, and like the attempts, and it's like, you know, I mean, every time I saw one of these people on Twitter desperately trying to salvage, I mean, they even tried to say, oh, well, it was the toxic male fan base, and it was like, sorry, wasn't this the same group just a month ago that you were saying was this fringe minority that had no influence on society, and now they're suddenly large enough that they can kill a movie franchise? Maybe the movie was just, and again, this is just me, the movie wasn't bad, right? The movie tanked. I don't think, this is just me, I don't think it personally sucked. I just think that the MCU and Disney have just played this genre out, and they've just wokeified themselves to the point where they're no longer viable. And where did V go? All right. Well, V's not up right away. So
this could be the beginning of the Polish invasion. So let's stay tuned, everybody.
All right. So,
I didn't think that V was Polish.
This one. All right. So, Vinny, you're up.
All right. Well, it seems to me that you need to make, what was it, 2-3 times what your budget was, at least twice what your budget was.
Two and a half times is break even. So if it's 200 million for the movie, you have to clear 500 million, or 500 million is a guaranteed profit. Anywhere between say 4 and 500 is break even-ish. So for a $235 million movie, they have to clear in excess of 600, probably about 650 to 7 to make a profit.
What I was saying is I already knew all that, and so if they're not making anywhere near just over their own budget, they're in real trouble. Like there's going to be consequences. There's going to be heads that are going to roll, and there's going to be things that were in the works that are now going to be cancelled and stuff. Like this is going to spook them, and whatever it is that actually has done this, whether it was the fact, and I'm not saying an opinion here, the fact that people hate Brie Larson. I'm not saying it's the fact that people hate wokeism, and I'm not saying it's the fact that people hate Disney, or because there's a possible here. Is there actually superhero movie fatigue, or are there so many movies coming out now? Like, for example, what are there, like 3 Marvel series a year, 3 Marvel movies a year, and 2 series, I think, ish, that they've been averaging. That's a huge amount of content, especially for the expense that actually goes into it. Now, some of it is significantly cerebral and quite brilliant, like the Loki series. I'm not sure if you guys might agree with me on that one. Like, whoa, sort of like messing with your mind a little bit. And I think that superhero movies have been around for a very, very long time. Once upon a time they were called action movies, and that genre really has been around since the dawn of film, and it'll still be around. The only difference is nowadays we've got an actual cinematic universe that we're working with. And why aren't people able to go to the movies? It's because there's too many movies coming out, right? Are they going to go and see like 4 movies on the same month that they come out? Because all of these big blockbusters, they come around the same time. Some of them, and people just kind of have to choose because it's going to cost them $50 to go to the movie theater plus drinks and popcorn or whatever the hell, or maybe inclusive depending on how cheap it is where you are. But I digress. These things do not become a massive priority, especially when the ability to just wait a month or two for them to be coming out for free online, where you can steal them, right? The technology's come into base. But that hasn't undermined the entire film industry in and of itself, because when really big and really good films come out, people actually do turn up to the theaters to watch them. The question is whether or not they think it's worth their money. How do people make their decisions about what movies they go to see? Are they making their decisions on their entertainment politically now? And that's why they've kept away from this? Are they making their decisions based upon which corporation made my movie? I'm not going to enjoy it because they made it, that kind of thing. It's like, no, man, Disney's made some freaking great films. And they've been in charge of the Marvel Cinematic Universe since Age of Ultron sort of took it down a notch. But under their stewardship, there was Endgame, there was Infinity War, So there's definitely some talent in there. And it's just a shame that some of the people who they bring in to do an acting job think that their job involves politics. I think maybe that's one of the key clinches here is people are sick of the politics in their films. They'd rather just watch a film. They'd rather just escape reality. That's what they're there to do. So when you start shoving something that's not genuine and isn't true down people's throats, while they're paying you money to be entertained, to be wowed, to be thrilled, it leaves a bad taste in the mouth. And with that being said, I'll turn it over to you.
All right. Well, let me jump in here. I think that, Vinny, you make a lot of great points. However, I mean, look, at least in the United States, the average wage of an American in the United States is just over 40,000 a year. It's like 40,700 and change, right? So when you're talking about movies, right, you're talking about discretionary spending. When you look at the average wage of an American, and you comport or you translate that into Maslow's 7 levels of needs, you never get past the second level. So it's food, shelter, family, security, right? Not necessarily in that order. And when you're focused on those things, pardon me, when you're focused on those things, the issue you have is like you said, you know, movies cost a lot of money. You have to pick and choose what you want to do. But I mean, and I know I'm kind of stretching far afield here, but I think this is relevant. So there was a time where CNN was considered the most watched cable news show anywhere in the world. And the reason it wasn't because it was popular. It was because CNN actually had a contract with all the airports in the United States. And so what CNN did was they said, well, because we have contracts with the airports to show CNN at the airport, everybody who goes to the airport is automatically a CNN viewer, right? So even people who didn't pay attention, you know, 2-year-olds, toddlers, it didn't even matter, right? They were CNN viewers for purposes of this, you know, this number that they were creating. The reason that that's relevant to the Marvel Universe scenario is because I think Marvel Universe has gone from escapism TV or inspirational television to, like you said, political propaganda. And we've seen a variety of different superhero franchises that Marvel has actively destroyed, right? So for instance, Captain America, for example. I remember in the comics, and this isn't a new thing. This isn't like since Barack Obama, but I remember in the comics, the government fired Captain America in the comics because the government wanted Captain America to be a certain type of person. And he just is like, no, I stand for the Constitution. I stand for the flag. I'm not buying your political bullshit. So they fired him for a while. And then they tried to have somebody else become Captain America, and they couldn't fill his shoes. So they had to bring Captain America back. And, you know, they treat him as an outsider. They destroyed his character, everything like that. You know, oh, he's this horrible person. And every person in the Marvel comics has gone through some sort of incarnation where they've fallen out of fashion with the mainstream. Spider-Man, for example, was hunted by the police for a long time. You know, you switch over to DC Universe, you know, Batman was the same sort of thing. And so I think that at the end of the day, you know, we saw that in the comics, and we saw that those types of attacks didn't work. So then they end up bringing the characters back because they were trying to sunset certain characters to bring other ones in. With that being said, Marvel Universe, the MCU, has done the same thing with Disney, you know, and Disney, you know, running Disney World, where families can bring their children over to get molested by homosexuals and degenerates at Disney World, right? Because every time you turn around, somebody at Disney is getting arrested for either child porn or child abuse or something, and it turns out that they're all LBGT. I guess that's a coincidence. But that said, I think that when it comes to this whole MCU thing, they're trying to destroy franchises. They're trying to destroy who, you know, in other words, you know, they say in biblical terms, the devil can't create. They can only parody or take or copy or corrupt. We've seen this with franchises, not just with MCU, but everywhere, where they've corrupted these characters and they've turned them into something that they weren't. And then they tell these actors, yeah, you got to go out in the public and you got to promote this political communism that nobody really wants, right? And how dare you, you know, criticize our bigotry? You know, it's like what you said in the very beginning about how, you know, these right-wing extremists in air quotes are, you know, they're killing this franchise, but apparently they're just a minority. When you don't respect your customer base, your customers turn on you. Look at Gillette. Gillette went after men and started doing this whole toxic masculinity thing, and they killed their brand. And there's people who still, myself included, who still will not use Gillette products as a result of that. And you see this, you know, the idea of having superheroes is is for us to have something to aspire to, is to have this fantastical character who's larger than life that we can go, yeah, and we can root for this, you know, kind of like a cult personality sort of thing, right? But at the end of the day, what ends up happening is that with a lot of these basically low IQ propagandists, you know, they're like, oh, we're going to push communism, or we're going to push this, or we're going to push wokeism. That shit doesn't work in real life. Like people, it's so fantastical that people think that this shit's going to be real, that you could believe that, you know, Thor exists, like the god of thunder exists. You're more willing to suspend your disbelief that the Thor, the god of thunder, exists in the Marvel universe. You'll believe that before you'll believe that wokeism works. That's how ridiculous wokeism is. That's how ridiculous this corporate communism is. It doesn't even pass the straight face test. People who show up to these movies specifically because, you know, they want to experience the fantasy of you know, the superhero fighting villains and doing these amazing things, these inhumanly impossible things. And they're like, wow, you know, this is crazy. You know, Captain America's super strong, and Thor can fly, and, you know, Iron Man is super brilliant and made this amazing suit. But the second that you insert corporate communism into this, all of a sudden nobody wants anything to do with it, because it's totalitarian, it's tyrannical, and more importantly, it's the antithesis of what it is to be a superhero and what it is to stand against evil. Because you know, when you look at the base of superheroes in general, they have a very Christian value system. It's black and white. It's good versus evil. Yeah, there are shades of gray in certain types of characters, like, you know, Blade, for example, which is part of MCU. But there's a bright line that they won't cross. But when you look at this wokeism doesn't have that good versus evil. Corporate communism doesn't have that good versus evil. And that's why it doesn't work. And that's why you lose the audience, because you lose the narrative. And even like things like Loki, they do well because at least Loki embraces his evil in his own way, right? And you know, or mischief, or, you know, oppositional defiance, whatever you want to call it. They anthropomorphize him in a way that he becomes a sympathetic character. But they can't do that with corporate communist characters, especially when the actors and actresses, they sit there on these soapboxes and they act as though everything that they're saying they truly believe in. And let's not forget for a second that really when we're talking about actors and actresses, what we're talking about is professional liars. Okay, that's what they are. They're professional liars. And they're really good at their job. In fact, the people who lie the best, they get awards. They're called Oscars, right? So, you know, if you really believe what it is that's going on on the movie screen, and it really, you connect with it, it touches you, yeah, that's a great movie. That's the point of the movie. But, you know, a lot of these actors and actresses, they just need to stay in their lane. And their lane is not politics. And really, if they really want to do good in the world, they need to quit pushing the political agendas, and they need to push the characters and the franchises that they're a part of devoid of these politics, so that they can deal with it. I mean, you look at, like you said, MCU, you look at, what was it, Civil War? Avengers Civil War? Is that what the one was where they were fighting?
Yeah, it was Civil War. Yeah, that was the...
Civil War is a perfect example. Where you sympathize with both sides. You sympathize with the team that's led by Iron Man. You sympathize with the team that's led by Captain America. And you know, both groups of people think they're doing the right thing. They just have different methods of doing it. And you know, Avengers Civil War is a great movie because of that. And they talk about, I mean, when you delve into the character, you delve into the ethics of these characters and the belief systems and the histories. You know, you really, they present value judgments, or I should say value questions, that some of us can sympathize with. And there'll be people that'll be like, yeah, you know, I really support Captain America's view and the group he put together, or I support Iron Man's view and the group he put together. But neither side is wrong, right? And at the end of the day, they both fight a common villain. And so I think that, you know, when you look at that, that's the kind of thing we need to return to. But this whole we're going to go ahead and push these celebrities, and it's not just with MCU, it's everything, right? We're going to push these celebrities to take a political view, and then we're going to go ahead and gaslight and shame our audience when our movie doesn't make any money. I honestly think that while Disney does want to make money at some level, I really think that they're more interested in the propaganda, because they have lost so much money in recent history, and they haven't changed course. You would think that a publicly traded company, which has a fiduciary duty to its shareholders, you would think that a company like that would say, yeah, maybe we need to move away from ESG. Maybe we need to move away from climate change. Maybe we need to move away from these things that really don't make any sense, or things that have been disproven. And maybe we need to go back to actually making movies that people want to see. And it's not like they don't know what it is we want, but I think that everybody is so ideologically extorted that the business of making movies has become so politicized that people are just they're afraid of a paper tiger, and they shouldn't be. Every company that has gone against this woke corporate communist bullshit has done fine. Not a single company has failed for not adopting it. So I think that at the end of the day, is this the Marvels or this new movie? Is this gonna be successful? Probably not. And maybe the movie might not be that bad, but you have to understand that Marvel and Disney have worn out any goodwill that they could have had from any of their audience, because they continuously shit on them. And you can't do that. I mean, look at Spider-Man, right? There was the Spider-Man movie where Spider-Man's he's just getting raffle stomped, right? And New Yorkers rise up. That's what people want to see. They want to see the common man empowered. They want to see people they can root for. They don't want to see corporate communism on screen. They don't want to see 1984, making a parody of itself. They just don't want to see that. And so they're going to move on to other things. And thankfully now, with all these independent studios rising up, there are options for it. They're not great options necessarily, but there's definitely options for it. So with that said, I'll hand it back.
Okay, I'm just going to throw in a couple points here. I think what you was talking about when he talks about corporate communism, I actually kind of consider. I throw that under the term cultural Marxism. There was a video that I saw here just a few days ago about a missing kid who disappeared in Australia, and this is very odd, because apparently just randomly somebody was doing doing an image search of Disney, and they found a kid that looked like him at Disney World in California. Just gonna throw that out there. Yeah, there's a lot of stuff going on with Disney that under the surface. And with it, I'm going to turn it over to V.
Well, this topic has run way too long, so I'm going to keep my part short. Yeah, so what does a Brie Larson with two black eyes say? Nothing. She's already been told twice.
Exactly.
Yeah. And yeah, no, Disney can't change. It can't change. Disney is the new Catholic Church. Okay? They want to take your money, make you feel bad about yourself, while telling you about their moral high ground, while they molest your kids. We don't need another Catholic Church. Okay? We don't need another mind control institution. As far as the formula for movies, I'm not a big movie buff anymore these days, because the pandering, okay? It's too much of making a product that will be catering to the general population. There are genres for a reason. Okay, it sucks. I don't know. Maybe I'm jaded or something. I don't know. But when I tune into something because it's an action movie, that's what I want to see, an action movie. I don't want to see. I mean, the politics aside, the formula has been love story, no matter what. There's this interest, love interest, always. Usually, when I'm watching a movie and it's a good movie, everything's going great, it's a lot of action, a lot of violence, a lot of kick-assery, and then there's a love interest that pops into the movie, and then just kind of it weakens the protagonist. I end up just not finishing the movie. That has happened so many times. It's unreal. Everything has to be twisted to some kind of love story. I watch when it comes to movies, I watch mostly horror movies. It's hard to twist in a love story. You know, I assume they do that so the women will come along with the men, because men want to watch action, and the love story will make it somewhat tolerable for the women. No, it's called genres. I don't want an action romance. I don't want a romance comedy. I don't want, and really, it takes away so much from what's going on. Okay, especially if you're some super action person, chances are getting booty is not high up in your priority list. You got some ass to kick. You got blood boiling. You got vengeance that you need to enact. You can go to the bar and pick up some tail when you're done. I don't want that in the movie. Okay? It really weakens the character. Like this person, it's just telling society that, oh, you're nothing without a woman. You're nothing without a counterpart. You're nothing without a supporting character. Batman could kick ass with or without Robin. It didn't matter. I'm tired of the indoctrination of that. Everybody feeling lonely. I'm antisocial. Okay, listen, I'm my happiest when I'm by myself. And I can think without anybody else's input. We become a society that just can't sit by itself. People cannot stand to be in their own skin without interfacing with someone else. Their psyche interfacing with somebody else. I know some people that will just like conversation sharks. Move from one person to another. Doesn't matter if that person's bothered by it. And it's insanity. It's goddamn insanity. The dependence upon other people for your brain to keep rolling around and crap like a dirty pig. It's too much. Solitude. People need to practice it sometimes. No, you don't know. You don't need to go see a movie. You've been trained to be bored. You've been trained to be bored. If you don't have a Disney movie going on, then what the hell is your life about? And that's the crap I'm sick of. Now, I said this was going to be short, but that is the short. Go ahead.
Well, apparently with Marvel, everything shifted when Ron Perlman.
Perlman.
No, it's not Perlman.
DeSantis?
No, no, he was the guy that sold Marvel to Disney. They showed him the door, in 2019. I've said this before, and I'll try to make. I will try to make this quick. He knew Pelderman, something like that. Anyway, he knew the formula that worked for Marvel to make cash, and for Disney to make cash. And then he was unceremoniously shown the door, and Feige has taken over. Feige has proven to be about as smart as Kathleen Kennedy. You want to talk about franchise killers? They're the two main culprits. And ultimately, at the end of the day, Mr. Go Fuck Yourself, Iger has tried to make himself look like the savior to make Disney look even better than it already is. And again, this wholesome family entertainment company is just the biggest load of bullshit there ever was for various reasons. Oh, and I have to put in I have to basically correct myself from last week when I had said that Madagascar was part of the whole Disney thing as part of DreamWorks, I believe. And that is the hippopotamus with the two boy lover pedophile symbols for nostrils. Anyway, there's a guy that's on. He shows up, or much like myself with Naroki, he does show up with WD Pro on YouTube, or with Jonas J. Campbell, I believe his name is, or J. Jonas Campbell, whatever. And he said that when he was going to comic book conventions, a lot of people that can't write their way out of, a lot of people that cannot write their way out of a wet paper bag, much like Mark Hamill, can't act his way out of a wet paper bag if you pushed them through it, or Nicolas Cage for that matter. They were giving him script ideas or basic scripts, and he just looked at most of them just kind of going, this is shit. This isn't going to fly. This won't work. Well, these are the people that have been hired in Hollywood, and this is part of the problem as to what we see. Now, the last movie that I saw was Sound of Freedom. To me, it was genuine. It moved very quickly. It was a great movie, and it really was riveting. It was almost a 2-hour film, if I remember right, but it moved. It was engaging, and these fucking idiots who can't think and have my story to tell, it doesn't work. So, whatever. Is it superhero movie fatigue? No. It's to quote a certain Scottish YouTuber, it's all about the message. And, we talked about this recently enough with the Doctor Who series fucking falling apart, and Doctor Who now suddenly seems to be gay. Fuck you. All of you. Go fuck yourselves, with or without a ball gag that has or has not been inserted up someone's ass, which might have a little bit more flavor to it. Not that I would ever know, because I'm not, but...
Denial is the first stage.
Fuck you. Go fuck yourself, DDJ. And I mean that in the most loving way possible. I got nothing more to say.
Oh, yeah. The superhero. It's Disney did this as well, but I mean, to have reached the point now where they're actually starting to hide the financials, I mean, that is unprecedented for a studio to do that. Like, we've seen television.
I'm sorry, my friend, but not really, because they were promoting the shit out of Ahsoka because that was supposed to be the comeback for Star Wars, and the whole that idea fucking flopped. And once they started to really see what the numbers were, Disney did the same fucking thing. Like, it was the precursor to this, is that they shut the fuck up. And eventually the numbers came out through Nielsen, I think it was, the Nielsen ratings, and it sucked. It sucked, Cass. It sucked so hard it could do better as a porn flick. Just saying. My apologies, man. My apologies.
Yeah, no. It's like, I mean,
it's actually already in the works. It's called Asaka.
Weeks now.
Okay.
Every time I have a feeling, I have to mention it on YouTube as a comment on YouTube, assuming I don't get banned because someone doesn't know what to say.
I misspoke. It's actually now Ass Sucker.
Asaka,
Fantastic.
yeah.
Well, I mean, no,
Uh,
I mean, the streaming services routinely hide their numbers. But I mean, yeah, it's like for cinematic releases, especially a mainstream cinema, like one of the big six, to actually not bother to publish their numbers. Yeah, on television, yeah, that happens frequently. And they usually tend to go silent too on television, but with one of them, like to date, this is the first time I ever recall one of the major studios just simply refusing to publish their financials. Like that is a new thing. But anyway, we have another company to trash. Here's the and I will get into them here in a second because I actually still do buy their coffee once in a while.
oh. Okay.
Yeah, I still actually buy their coffee once in a while. But Starbucks is also they finally had to come out and admit that they have lost $12 billion in stock value, which explains why I'm seeing more. Which is why basically the neighborhood I live in the city I live in. There used to be at one point I counted one, two, three, four, five. There were five Starbucks from one end of White Avenue to the other. Sorry, six. There's now one, and it's actually at the mall at the far east end of this of the drive, and between the university and I might as well just say it's Edmonton, between the university and Bonnie Doon. Like all of the Starbucks are gone, like all of them. And you know, it wasn't one thing that did it. For one, Starbucks just had this annoying habit of sticking their nose into political causes, and they just did it one time, and and of course their employees union just could not stick their nose into cultural and social issues. And of course, there was all the political grandstanding, and of course, getting caught. That one incident that occurred in Philadelphia, where the two guys allegedly got booted out because they were just sitting there not drinking anything, and that turned into a big, huge charged race incident. And I saw actually it's up. I actually saved that video. It's up on the feed. Right there's actually two black guys sitting in the background of that video of these two guys getting booted out. But between their political grandstanding, between their poor marketing, between their desperately try, and of course, I mean, the poor Starbucks stores in Portland, right? Uh, and engaging in politics, and now, once again, they chose to stick their nose into that situation in what's going on between Israel and Hamas in the Gaza Strip. And it's like, it wasn't just like with Disney, it wasn't one thing that did it. And Starbucks is now a shell of what it used to be. What's happened, at least in the city that I live in, is that most of the walk-by stores, like they got the ones that are in the Safeways, and they've got the drive-throughs, the stores that are the drive-throughs. They've kept most of those open, but like say for instance the neighborhood Starbucks that used to exist in literally almost every single neighborhood in the city, those are gone. You know, again, right? It wasn't one thing that did it, but basically what it ended up, Starbucks finally had to step out and admit, no, we've lost $12 billion. I'm sure if Rearson has the time, he can maybe find out who the biggest stockholders are in Starbucks when he gets around to his sharing on this.
I'm working on it right now.
Yeah, I don't know, but I mean, they ESG'd themselves right into the ground. It's another one of those corporations that's just like, I mean, keep in mind they always were a bit of a target. because they were a corporate coffee shop and their coffee.
Sorry. Top two, guess who?
BlackRock,
Number two.
Fleet Street.
Don't see them.
No.
Vanguard is number one at 8.9%. BlackRock, 8.91%. And BlackRock is at 4.56%.
Oh, well, color me shocked.
So they're an AstroTurf corporation. Got it.
Yeah, color me shocked. So yeah, they're going the same route. And at this point, I mean, this is something that's playing around in my head. We might want to discuss this with this particular topic. Are the Blackguard Vanguard and Fleet Street, are they deliberately causing these corporations to self-destruct so that their stock value can go down so that they can buy up more of the stock? Like, this pattern has repeated itself so often. Not just Disney, Starbucks, but you're seeing this with company and Budweiser. You're seeing this with companies all over the place. And the same pattern happens, right? They do something really monumentally stupid. Their stock value goes down, which makes it cheaper, which makes it easier for the big three to come in and just buy up more stock and cause them to self-destruct. So are they doing that on, like, I mean, at this point, I have to start wondering whether or not they're doing that on purpose. That's just the question that's evolving in my mind at this point, because it's like corporations just keep doing, like, it's not just Starbucks and Disney, by the way, it's a lot of companies. They just keep doing this stupidity and they just keep doubling down and they keep seeing the results and they keep doing it anyway. So, it's either being done on purpose or there is a lot of stupid people working in corporations. And with that, I'm going to turn it over to Vinny.
Are there a lot of stupid people working in corporations? Have a look at the world. How's it being run? Where's it heading? Yeah, of course it's stupid, but yeah, it's a classic technique. New World Order does it all the time. They build people up. It's called the boom and bust economy. And let's say you own 20% of a company, but you've got 10 grand in the bank, and the rest of the company is worth 100 grand. But you've got some information you could release that will make that company be worth 1/10 as much. Still the same company, still the same resources, still the same customers, and so on and so forth. It's just the stock price is worth a little bit less. So you leak that information, and then you buy the entire company for pennies on the dollar, right? That's how the Rothschilds took the world economy after the Battle of Waterloo. So yeah, I think that's kind of what's happening here. I don't have really too much to add more than that. So I'll just pass it along there. Go right ahead, bro.
All right. Well, I will say this. One of the most important aspects that was overlooked about Naroki in your introduction was that Starbucks decided that they were going to embrace the homeless. And so I did a video called Deuce is Wild, where basically they were letting homeless people hang out in Starbucks, and they started shitting on the floor, quite literally. And so, yeah. So I did a video called Deuce is Wild, where I kind of talk about that. And I mean, Starbucks is like they've jumped the shark when it comes to some of their political forays into, oh, we're going to go into, diversity, equity, and inclusion, I mean, I suppose it would probably be okay if they were like, based in India, where, street shitting is more of a cultural norm, but not here in the United States or in the Western world.
Oh,
and I
come
think
San Francisco. I'm sorry.
Yeah, exactly. Right. Yeah. Do you have your poop map handy? So, I mean, I think that when it comes to that sort of thing, I think it's a huge issue. But I also think too that just to I'm kind of jumping around here mentally. I apologize. Naroki, you were talking about how there's Starbucks that are still located in like grocery stores and stuff like Safeways and Kroger stores and things like that. Just so we're clear, those are not corporate Starbucks stores. Those are actually owned by Safeway, by Kroger, by the large corporations, specifically their franchises. So those people are actually employees of the grocery store. They're not employees of Starbucks. That's the reason that those Starbucks still exist. But I think that the issue here is Starbucks grew too big too quickly, and they overestimated their value, and they were very narcissistic in their growth. They wanted to be the new McDonald's. Your problem is that their products are not very good. The coffee's not that great. And all their little, the coffee has become the loss leader to bring people into the store to buy, other overpriced things. So I think at the end of the day, people are kind of tired of the Starbucks business model because Starbucks caters to discretionary spending. And with a financial recession that's sweeping across the Western world, not just Canada, not just the United States, but Australia, UK, and in Europe, people don't have the discretionary spending anymore to go spend $5 to $10 on a latte anymore every day. So now as they're tightening their belts, it's a problem. And, companies like Starbucks that serve kind of a luxury / discretionary product that's somewhat overpriced, people aren't into that anymore. They don't have the money for it. They're too busy trying to keep a roof over their head and trying to avoid illegals assaulting their families. So with that, I'll turn it over.
V. Okay.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, just a few months ago, I was seeing articles about Starbucks making their employees take down the rainbow flags and stickers off the doors. So I don't know how exactly they went from being corporate sticklers to now being.
I'll break it down to you really simply. They decided to stick their nose into that Israeli-Hamas situation, and no, it didn't go well for them.
Oh yeah,
continue.
Yeah, you can't have an opinion about that. As a corporation, you cannot have an opinion. Now, franchisees get punished. So these super stores that are franchising out these Starbucks, that's the only thing that's going to keep Starbucks alive. I know when I was in high school, the thing to do was to go and have lunch at Starbucks. That was the preppy, I'm better than everybody else kind of thing to do. My parents are rich. I have a convertible. So either you were a senior, you got lunch off campus, or you skipped campus altogether as an underclassman to go and hang out with the rich kids, Starbucks, right across the street. So, I mean, I don't drink coffee myself. I think even if I did, I wouldn't pay for some overrated, expensive, just name brand. I mean, if you put a cup of coffee in front of me and then another cup, one has Starbucks in it, one has Folgers, I'm not going to be able to tell the difference. Again, I'm not a connoisseur, but at the same time, you get more bang for your buck. That's what I'm about. I'd rather get a tin, a big, I don't know how they measure it, but the gallon-sized tin of Folgers rather than 1 cup of Starbucks. Just because you want to be a part of the scene, you want to go to work with Starbucks cup because you're cool, you got money. Oh, yeah. And the thing about these fads, that's what it is, a fad. It's supposed to show that you have money. A lot of these fads is supposed to show that you have money, but these people are broke because they're buying stuff. The irony of it. When I see somebody with a Starbucks cup, I think wow. For one, they don't know what to spend their money on. They don't know how to prioritize. And two, they're probably broke now. I think of him as a chump. So, anyways, yeah, I'm not going along with this. So, Richard, go ahead.
Much like my absence at the movies, again, prior and after, I honestly, I don't remember the last time that I stepped into a Star Schmucks, and that is my favorite favorite parody of the franchise from Ill Will Press, small, medium, and large, and oh, Foamy the Squirrel just rips them a new, rips them. Well, I don't know if we could say they rips them a new asshole because I believe they're based out of Seattle, and that's a very fucked up city to begin with, anyway. But it, and this was, oh, good lord, 2007, 2006, somewhere around there, and it still rings wonderful for me to hear if I actually put the effort in to listen to it again. Say Star Schmucks, the next avenue down from where I live, that place closed up. Well, closed up with the COVID. With the C-1984 lockdowns. It relied on downtown employees being around, and that location has not. No business has moved in since. I think it's probably about 3 years now. Well, 2 years for sure, anyway, that it's been closed. I mean, don't get me wrong. I certainly enjoyed their green tea latte, whatever the fuck it is, and you, you wonder why that there's an overweight issue with North Americans. It's concoctions like that, which are absolutely horrible. And at the end of the day, at least up here north of the 49th and surrounding territories, Tim Hortons is our national mainstay. And I know that it's making some inroads into America, but we've got our coffee. I don't drink the stuff. I find it to be absolutely vile, but to each their own. And I'm not going to go be acting all vegan-like and converting people away from it all, because no doubt of worker exploitation, blah, 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 fuck, whatever, take your pick. But the company was never able to keep its fucking mouth shut, whether it was, and I didn't know that the workers were unionized, poor fuckers, but whatever. But I wasn't aware that the company was unionized for the employees. And if it wasn't them stepping out of line and making an ass of themselves, hindsight being 2020, let's be honest with ourselves, folks, it was the corporate headquarters doing what they could to make themselves look absolutely stupid. And both sides have done an exceptional job. I don't miss it. I have no withdrawal symptoms, shall we say, of going into it. I mean, shit. It was incorporated into the movie Miss Congeniality, if I remember correctly. And the lineup of people that had to have their brand name coffee, I have to agree with it. The sentiment of it being that you needed to walk around with your overpriced cup of coffee with the brand name on it. And apparently the three sizes are all the same. It's just how tall or small it is, with the two diameters of where the lid would be to where the bottom of the coffee cup is. Apparently, it's the same fucking size. Now, is it wrong? Sorry, is it illegal? Well, kind of, but not really. I don't know. Is it immoral? Absolutely. But hey, whatever. if Starbucks finally goes under. Oh, and the only Starbucks that matters to me in any way, shape, or form is from Battlestar Galactica. Have to say it, putting that out there, and that's all I got to say.
For the record, folks, Tim Hortons coffee is coffee flavored water. Maybe it's because I got used to stronger coffee, but yeah, Tim Hortons coffee is just coffee flavored water, at least with me.
Oh.
But anyway, now we're getting into the really good stuff here. Oh yeah. Before we even get started on this, I am going to, you know me, I found a lovely little ditty on YouTube that I'm going to start out with before I even get into this guy. Here you go. Definition of a cuck.
Cuck. A weak, effeminate, unmanly, or inadequate man who is often dominated by their female partner. It is considered derogatory slang. Cuck. C-U-C-K.
I debated Destiny, a guy by the name of Stephen Bonnell. He is a cuckold. He has a polyamorous relationship with his wife, and it just came out that he is getting divorced. And guess who was one of the most earliest adopters of this dialogue? Me, primetime Alex Stein. So we're trying to call his Skype right now. We'll see if he answers. We're calling him on Skype. But why don't we play the clip of us debating, Jimmy?
All right, sounds good. We'll pull it up. And what was the context of like why you were invited on? Were you debating?
Well, him and I were debating over who is the bigger scumbag, him for having a polyamorous relationship or me because I called AOC a big booty Latina. I'm trying to
I have
connect.
a question. Do you think?
Wait, no. I need to make sure that you understand. I need to make sure that you understand this. I need to make sure that you
letting
understand
other
this.
guys come on your
Alex, I need to make sure you understand that. Alex, do you even have a girlfriend?
I understand.
Alex,
actually, I got a bunch of girlfriends. I have more than one girlfriend.
Sure you do.
And guess what? My girlfriend doesn't get banged by other dudes.
Alex, if you've got multiple girlfriends, you have no idea what your girlfriends are up to. Number one, okay?
Yeah,
Number two.
let me tell you
number
something.
two, just checking. Alex. Shooting somebody and kicking somebody are both bad, right?
Yeah, just like I think it's bad to let guys bang your girlfriend.
So if you have...
I think you're a sexual degenerate because you let guys come on your girlfriend.
Yeah, that's fine. You can think I'm a sexual degenerate, but it's not sexual harassment.
Well, you think that? So you think what I did so bad? I think what you do is even more disgusting.
But it's not. What you do is actually more sexually degenerate because you're engaging in non-consensual sexual harassment. 100%.
You say you're a big booty Latina is more sexual degenerate than your girlfriend saying, "Hi, honey, I'm with another guy. I have his dick."
Sure, if everybody consents to it. Yeah. Do you think sexually?
Do you think it's okay for other dudes to jizz on your girlfriend? Yeah, because it's very interesting. Because I would have never thought I'd ever know a cuckold that's a proud cuckold that has thousands of
and I never thought I'd talk to an adult human male that's telling me it's okay to sexually harass women.
Yeah, I think being a cuckold is much worse. I think being a cuckold
engaging in non-consensual sexual activity publicly.
I imagine kissing Melina's lips after a dick was just on him is way worse than saying
one of your 20 girlfriends that I'm sure are all okay. Is that cat around you? Is that the girl you're making out with?
You knowingly do that. Think about it. You pay for all of her stuff. You support her so she can go blow other dudes.
My wife works.
Oh, she just has to talk about sex. Oh, that's better.
She has difference. You don't think there's a difference between that?
Oh, that's much better. My girlfriend talking about the types of penises she likes to fuck is less sexual harassing than saying big booty Latina. Think about that. Your girlfriend's talking about the actual size of men's genitals and whether it pleasures her enough to orgasm is worse. That you think that's less bad than saying you have a big booty.
I think that she makes a lot of money off guys like you, dude. It makes me happy.
I know. So think about that. You're trading money so dudes can bang your wife or your girlfriend or whatever she is.
Obsessing over her, and then we're using that money to buy dinner. How crazy is that? What a weird world we live in. What do you got, Rob?
Good.
What's our next question?
I'm happy that the sexual degeneracy of your girlfriend pays for your Olive Garden. Awesome. You're winning big, bud. And I bang chicks, believe it or not.
Sure
yes.
Do.
And
okay.
Guess what? The chicks that I bang, I don't let them go. I don't date them. The chicks that I'm banging, I don't date them. Let them live under my roof and then go blow random dudes on the internet because I don't date e-thoughts like you. So you're a bigger sexual degenerate.
It sounds like right now you don't date anybody because you're more fascinated with my wife than getting one of your own. So, but hey, listen.
No, because I don't want to get in a relationship with one of these whores like you and get used and abused like you and look like a cuckold all over the internet, like a little cuckold.
Well, Steven, you made fun of me for not getting married, and guess what? I'm also not getting divorced like your bitch ass. So It looks like Papa Stein was right when I told you that relationship wasn't going to work. And then there was also a clip, we don't have it, but where Steven, Destiny, was showing a sign of relief because he said that they worked out a financial incentive that will let him break up with her without losing all of his money. But let's be real. She marries you for the green card, bro. I said that, Destiny. So let's just talk about this. We can just, I'm extending the olive branch. I don't hate you. I just want you to admit that I was right, that you married an e-thought whore that left you for some guy in Sweden that she's been texting and sending nude pictures to while you're working your ass off, literally streaming like 10 hours a day to pay your bills. Not that you don't make money. You do make a lot of money. But when your wife is using it to send her nude pictures to men all over the world, you should feel a little ashamed of that. And you did. You finally felt that shame, and that's why you decided to divorce Melania or whatever the hell her name is. I really don't know your wife that well. I just know that she's a big whore on the internet. And it looks like you admit that as well, because in your own message you said that she's been talking to some guy that is like broke, is domestic violence guy, and he's some big loser. Well, just remember that if you think that the guy she's leaving you for is a loser, you're an even bigger loser than that guy because she left you for him. So, she's allowed to bang this guy and you guys can still be in a relationship. But because you suck so bad, she's alienated you from the relationship. She'd rather be with some poor, broke Swedish guy than the guy that's constantly online, addicted to, Lord knows what stimulants you have to take to stream that long. I know the rumor is that you do a lot of stuff. I don't know whether that's true or not. That's all allegedly. But I do know that you're getting a divorce, self-admitted. So Alex Stein was right. I was right about Vivek Ramaswamy and 9/11 being an inside job. I was right about Destiny, being a total cuckold, having a relationship that was definitely failing, a failed marriage. Was right about that. And I was definitely right about storming Barstool Sports headquarters as being the right, morally sound thing to do.
God forbid this happens, will it be fun if this open relationship ends up causing things to fall apart down the line if one of you guys finds yourself in an entanglement, so to speak, with somebody who you might find a deeper connection with than the other person? Like if that causes the relationship to fall apart, that probably wouldn't be very fun.
No, it would be horrible and it would be sad.
Do you guys have a high degree of confidence that your marriage will last for decades?
I mean, I married her without a prenup, so I hope so. Okay, or else this motherfucker's gonna be.
My wife fucks other guys.
I went looking around today because there was a video. It's on YouTube but it's from years and years ago where this one woman was protesting because they were trying to take down this Confederate statue, and this woman couldn't get these guys to toe the line. So she literally just drags her husband up and she demands that the husband go talk to these guys. And as the husband is approaching, like the entire group just like starts, like one guy just starts saying cuck, 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 cuck. And the next thing you know, there's like 15 guys all at the same time. They're all like going cuck, 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 cuck. And it's like, oh yeah, the poor guy. What we're talking about here is by the way, and this is something else that I found out about the individual. We're talking about Destiny here. He apparently gets really upset if you start calling him a cuck. Apparently he has walked off shows if you start calling him a cuck.
Truth hurts. Truth hurts.
Truth hurts, exactly. Oh, wow. What can I possibly say about this dude?
Right up the ass.
This year, oh, God.
The good news is that part of the definition for being a cuck is not having a ball gag. Just putting that out there.
Yeah, congratulations, Urson. The whole situation here. I'm probably going to just sum it up. I was aware of Destiny before he decided to venture on into the area of the manosphere. I was not familiar with his debating style. His debating style is actually very similar to Ben Shapiro's. Talks really fast. He does come in prepared. He's got a bunch of points. And he constructed a whole feminist narrative, and of course, like his modus operandi is to talk really fast and to not really give the individual on the other side a chance to formulate a thought or whatever. So he'll say like 6 or 7 or 8 different things, and you really only have time to respond to one of them. And while you're responding to that one, he will try to pounce on you on that, and he will basically try to dissect you right in front of everybody. So you have to be on the ball when you're dealing with him. The individual, like for instance, when he tried taking on Undead Chronic, at least I will say this about Undead Chronic. At least Undead Chronic wasn't like when Undead Chronic does his live streams, he has a habit of like drinking and smoking while he's doing them. When he went up against Destiny, he was smart enough to not. He came in sober and clear-headed, which is what you have to be with Destiny. Unlike Ben Shapiro, though, Destiny took the time and effort and energy. And here's the thing: he took the time and effort. Yeah, he took that time and effort and energy to construct a completely dishonest and false premise. And he did it in such a way that in order to take him down, because I had to recently do this with a video that V sent me on with Anya Turnbull. When you're dealing with an individual like this, in order to actually take him down, you have to like break his argument up into pieces, and you have to dissect it. Piece by piece by piece by piece by piece. And you have to do it with all of them, because if you only do it with a couple of them, the guy, and this is the thing, it will be so willfully dishonest that he'll go, oh, well, those are just a couple of words. That doesn't mean the rest of my stuff isn't true.
Well, so let me interject something here too. That particular style is it has its roots in traditional speech and debate. And really, a lot of people that use that style, they argue in bad faith anyway. So what they do is they shit out 15 points, knowing you don't have time to deal with them, because usually everything is timed. And then when you can't hit their points, they're like, "Oh, look, I won! Ha ha ha!" Right? So it's a bad faith debate style to begin with, and they do it because the goal is to overwhelm and to stress you out by basically shitting everything to see what sticks. But it's a bad faith argument, and people like Destiny, they just do that because they're like, oh yeah, look at me, and then they're like, oh yeah, I won. You know, it's like the pigeon knocking over the Monopoly table.
I was actually going to get into that. It was a bad faith argument. And here, the other issue with Destiny is that he. And this is something that the feminists have been really going after. They've been going after the PUAs about it. It's, oh, well, what's the version of an ideal woman? Well, you don't have a version of an ideal woman? Well, that's because maybe you haven't fleshed out yet. Basically, what they're trying to do is they're trying to strawman the manosphere, and because there's not a definitive version of what an ideal woman is, because they don't have that down. They can then take that and project it onto the other aspects of the manosphere and say, oh, well, you know, if you don't have this down, then you probably don't have all this other stuff down. And then by extension, they can extend that to the entire manosphere, and they go, oh, well, you know, it's a straw man argument. And this is one that say what you will about Rollo Tomasi. Rollo Tomasi made the mistake of going on air with Destiny when he was a little bit sleep deprived and not overly prepared. Fortunately, I mean, he had somebody with him that was able to counterbalance. But I mean, Rollo got manhandled because he didn't do the proper preparation with Destiny. But here's the other.
But Rollo gets emotionally upset real easy. So once you get under his skin, Rollo has no ability to counter it.
Yeah. And it was, he was tired. He was also tired and not mentally all there when he went. Yeah, Rollo. Yeah, that is true about Rollo. I've noticed that about him. The issue here is that he then goes and and of course he picks the low hanging. Well, I mean, I wouldn't put Undead Chronic in the category of low hanging fruit. Undead Chronic actually did a pretty good job against Destiny, which of course meant that Destiny never went up against him. But I mean, he picked individuals. He picked the low hanging fruit. Like he went after Turd Flinging Monkey. He went after the low hanging fruit, like the ones that don't necessarily have all their ducks in a row, which is what you have to have when you go up against Destiny, and he avoided the ones that did. That's one. Now, let's get into some of the other stuff that he's done. And I apologize here. I might be going on for a while here on this one. Then there was his entrance into what happened with Andrew Tate. Now, say what you want to about Andrew Tate. My 500-foot view on what's going on with him is that it's looking very much like somebody is pulling the strings behind the scenes to try to get Andrew Tate into jail. Destiny jumped right in there and said Andrew Tate is guilty, da 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 da. And of course, when Tate finally got smart and got a decent lawyer, and they started releasing counter evidence, like the two girls that were quote unquote alleged that were held against their will, and they released video footage from his mansion where these girls are leaving his mansion when he's not there with money, unescorted, and then coming back. Guess what happened? Destiny went quiet. He went dead quiet. Shocker. Then of course, there's his wife, and we have to get into his wife, Melina. Melina, I remember her from
Why Not? Everybody else has.
No. We're not talking about the MMA's fighter's wife. Can't remember his fucking name. Logan. Anyway.
Yeah.
Also from Sweden.
But yeah, no. Melina on Fresh and Fit. Oh, well, no, I love him for his intelligence. I love him for his personality. And it's sort of like, and then at one point, I'm trying to remember what I think of the main guy on Fresh and Fit, like looks at her and goes, "You broke up with the guy you were with on screen, on live on television, to be with Destiny." And of course, right, Melina goes off on this big, huge victim spree, and she goes on all of these. I'm going to start calling them the cuck casters. These are the individuals that this is the woke podcasting. She goes on all these woke podcasts and puts on a brave face and talks about how much she despises the manosphere. Da 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 da. Anyway, and then of course, wait, we're not done yet with Destiny. Then there's their open relationship and the way they're pushing that, and what DDJ was talking about earlier about the liberals a few years ago, trying to push that polyamorous lifestyle. It's wow. It's a lifestyle that I don't approve of. We've done topics on the Red Pill Nation Hangout about how this one polyamorous couple, they had to go take this kid away from the woman because one of the polyamorous guys was getting physically abusive with the kid, right? And like all five of these guys were with this one woman, and this one woman was on her best day. She was maybe a 5, right? There's some other stuff allegedly behind the scenes. Wait, yeah, hold it. I'm not done yet with Destiny. Then, of course, there was the stuff that he pulled trying again with Rollo Tomasi, attempting to get Rollo Tomasi either criminally charged or trying to get him booted off YouTube. Fortunately, Rollo Tomasi's been around for a while, and he got whiff of it and didn't take the bait. And also Brittany Venti attempted to insert herself into this as well, and luckily Rollo decided not to pursue criminal charges against Brittany Venti over it. But that was completely fraudulent as well. And of course, Destiny went completely silent after that. And then I'm not done yet with Destiny. And then he goes on all of these cuck casters and starts walking around. And you didn't see this because a lot of guys in the manosphere don't listen to these cuck casters, because I will be straight. Like, for instance, when V sent me that video about Anya Turnbull, god damn it, V, that was fucking painful to listen to. Like, these individuals are hard to listen to because they're just so fundamentally dishonest, right? And he's going on all these podcasts. He's like saying, "Oh well, the manosphere is dead, and the manosphere is going nowhere, and the manosphere is this, and the manosphere is that." He's acting like he's like this big authority on the manosphere all of a sudden, and he's not, right? Like he didn't actually. Basically, he constructed this whole false narrative to hype himself up and whatever, and of course, this whole time, his Melina, because they're in an open relationship, Melina's basically like McDonald's. She's cheap and she's easy, and everybody's been there almost once. And Melina's not a bad-looking woman, right? I will freely admit that. She's in Sweden, and she picks up on a guy who, curiously enough, physically bears a lot of similarity to Destiny. And she starts banging him, and of course, right? You know, Destiny gets wind of something that's wrong, and they go over, and the whole marriage goes south. So, coming out of it, Destiny is just, and of course,
sorry, she was dripping walking back home, no doubt.
Well, I mean, here's the thing. I mean, like a lot of the Manosphere content producers have all I haven't seen anything from Fresh and Fit or Rolo yet, but Donovan Sharp, Joker. I haven't seen anything from Terrence Pop, but I know Undead Chronic, and Hammerhand were on this like White on Rice. Like, there's been multiple other people, and it's like, they're all jumping on his grave because Destiny constructed this whole fraudulent narrative, like to quote DJ, strutted around the chessboard like he fucking won, touted this beautiful open relationship he had with this woman, right? Spent a lot of time slagging the Manosphere, and of course, in typical fashion with someone like this, didn't address his critics. And I mean, I could also get into the fact that, he has had debates with other people. Like, actual Justice Warrior actually held his own, actually did pretty well against Destiny. When you're prepped and ready to deal with Destiny, he doesn't do nearly as well. But he constructed this whole narrative, him and his wife, his now ex-wife, and it all just unspooled right in front of him, right? And it's like, and of course, right, the guys, because of the way he was acting and the way he had been conducting himself and the narratives and the lies and the way he cucked himself in front of everybody and the way he just basically took a knee to the goddess of feminism, it all just unspooled. And I'm going to just say one last thing before I turn it over to Vinny here. One of the things that I heard, one of the things I saw Destiny do is he was incredibly dismissive of the issues that men have to go through in divorce, like really phenomenally dismissive of it. What I really hope happens to Destiny is that I hope fucking Melina gets one of those really sleazy fucking divorce attorneys, and I hope Destiny, this is just me, and I hate to say this because I really don't want bad things to happen to people, but if the divorce attorney that Melina gets fucking, because I've seen what happens to guys that get divorced, raped, but if he gets fucking raked over the coals, if he loses more than half his stuff, if he gets slandered, if he gets fucking run through the mill, right? I hope he fucking goes through all of that. So maybe he won't be so fucking dismissive of what men, specifically divorced men, have to deal with. Maybe he won't be so snarky and fucking dismissive of it. And that's the thing that really got me angry about him. So yeah, that's just my personal wish for him. And I'm sorry if I went on for so long on this issue, but this is one of those guys that it's sort of like, you don't want to see this happen to anybody, but at the same time, it's like it is so fucking sweet when it actually does. And with that, I'm going to turn it over to Vinny.
Well, it went on so long that I've got very little to contribute on this particular topic. don't know who Destiny is and all of that kind of stuff, apart from what you've now said, but it appears to me like there's just so many commentators out there who are just basically garbage that are, instead of a garbage bag, it's wrapped in human skin. And you just can't wait until people smell the rot that is underneath that flesh and throw it away and take it to the dump like it should be all along. And that will be the fate of Destiny. I thank you.
DDJ, I'm pretty sure you got a lot to say.
I do, and I think you touched on some things that are relevant. And let's be clear, okay? The manosphere is not mainstream, but MGTOW is. And what I mean by that is that all the tribes in the manosphere have their history in MGTOW. And you see a lot of these, the reason why the manosphere is faded is because everybody's tired of manosphere grifters. They're tired of the manosphere life coaches, the PUAs, the buy my courses kind of crap, right? Most of these manosphere guys, you know, they're one step away from homelessness. You know, they push this success porn as best they can, and at the end of the day, they're nowhere near as successful as they claim to be. You know, so it ends up being an issue. And the other side of it is that, you know, the reason why MGTOW is attacked by the other tribes in the manosphere is because MGTOW has the answers to a lot of these manosphere questions. Now, that's not necessarily to say that no one should get married or anything like that, but it's the fact that, you know, wives hold a gun, and at any moment they can shoot that gun and shoot you in the head. Now, with that said, Destiny's a male feminist, and Destiny suffers the fate of all male feminists. You know, they're creepy, they're predatory, they're grifters, they're intellectually dishonest and unethical. And that's a given. That's of all male feminists. And Destiny is a textbook male feminist. And like I said off stream, Destiny's debate style is about bad faith. It's about shitting words out of his word hole as fast as he can in order to overwhelm somebody, because when they try to respond to something, then he talks over them and interrupts them and whatever. And the goal here is basically his debate style is shouting you down, right? It's making a bunch of different points very, very quickly in hopes that you miss something and then go, look, I won. You know, Destiny's an amazing debater in his own mind. And occasionally you'll go on 4chan on a politically incorrect, and you'll see they'll go, oh, nobody's ever beaten Destiny. Well, okay, by what measure, right? When you don't debate somebody like Destiny, because Destiny is going to be a bad faith debater. And the people that Destiny goes after, specifically, yeah, they're intellectual low-hanging fruit. They're not necessarily prepared, but more importantly, when he goes after the bigger people who are low-hanging fruit, it's because he's clout chasing. He's trying to figure out a way to remain relevant. So what he does is he goes and he verbally abuses and gaslights these people and calls it a debate. And then he's like, ha, 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 I won. And and he doesn't even approach it from good faith. Anybody who debates Destiny has to know that, right? So you have to understand that Destiny's audience in general is just a bunch of fanatic, woke, feminist types. Now, let's take this a step further. One of the things, and again, we talked about this before the stream started, one of the things that happened probably between 2014 and 2018, 2019, was this big, huge push from the left for cuckoldry. They said, oh, you know, smart people are cucks. They have open relationships. And then you got these other people like Jack Murphy, you know, John Goldberg is his real name, who, you know, he's Mr. Manosphere guy. That guy was a cuckold, okay? When it came out, he lost his mind. He lost his spot on Tim Pool's Timcast because the guy used to be a regular guest there. Turned out he was a cuck. And he was telling everybody, oh.
Matter. Sorry.
I'm sorry?
Purple dildos matter.
Yeah, exactly. And so, you know, this whole thing with Destiny and the open relationship, I mean, look, we've talked about this in MGTOW videos. I talked about it when I was streaming with TFM. I've talked about it with other people. A lot of people in MGTOW community have talked about this. If your woman is asking you for an open relationship, it's because she's already cheated on you and she's looking for your replacement. That's the long and the short of it. That's it, right? If she hasn't cheated on you yet, she's about to. Destiny made the mistake of going, yeah, that seems like a great idea because I'm a male feminist and I'm a confident man. Okay, well, we watched the basically the public breakdown of Destiny, and now the feminists will turn on him because in fucking communism, everybody gets the knife. And Naroki, I know you talked about this earlier, how you referred to it as Marxism. Really, if we're gonna put a finer tune than communism on it, it's not Marxism, it's Leninism. And the reason it's Leninism is because under Leninism, the communists were professionals. So you look at Destiny, he's a professional podcaster, he's a professional, YouTuber, right? BreadTuber, whatever, because that's where he makes his money, and he does this full time. But you also have to understand, though, that most of the people who are big in YouTube now, they're paid propagandists. They've got, talent agencies and professional teams behind them, and they're AstroTurf. They're like, very few people who are successful on YouTube these days are like PewDiePie, who PewDiePie made his own thing, and he was the biggest YouTuber for a long time. Now they got, that satanic dude, Mr. Beast, that guy works for a talent agency, okay? He's AstroTurf. He's a grifter, just like the rest of them are. So, but when you look at people like Destiny and you understand that, then you put them in their proper place. They're grifters and they're con artists and they're AstroTurf, and they're pushing a propaganda point. They're not just making videos because they believe in what it is that they're doing. What they believe in is a paycheck. Now Destiny's got this big paycheck. His wife is divorcing him, and she's divorcing him because he's a cuckold. But the reality is that Destiny's just the latest in a long string of cucks who have been stuck in a real bad situation, and I feel for any man who's had a woman cheat on him. And let's be honest, if you're a cuckold, not only is your woman cheating on you, but you know about it, and basically you're so emasculated and you're so powerless to stop it that you're like, yeah, we're in an open relationship. The perfect textbook here is Will Smith. When you watch the Will Smith Red Table interview between Will Smith and Jada Pinkett Smith, Will didn't know that he was in an open relationship until right before that interview. And when you look at the way Will Smith responded to Pinkett when they were talked about that and talked about, her cheating on Will with a guy that was living in their house, he was truly heartbroken. And I've been in a marriage where you're just alone, right? Where you're married, but you're emotionally neglected, and your wife isn't invested in the relationship. And so it's interesting because I found a meme the other day I talked about before the stream, and basically the long and short of it is when Will Smith was filming I Am Legend, he bonded with the shepherd that was his sidekick. It was called Abby the dog, I guess. But he was so taken in by this dog because the dog and him kind of clicked and had a good relationship, that he offered to buy the dog from the trainer. The trainer said no, but I'll bring the dog by so you can visit with it occasionally, right? How lonely as a man do you have to be when you're married, right? As a married man, how lonely do you have to be to basically, well, I don't want to say fall in love, but feel like a dog loves you, right? How emotionally neglected and destitute do you have to be for a dog to be the brightest thing in your life when you're married, when that should be your wife, right? That should be your spouse. Like, your spouse is supposed to be your best friend. It's supposed to be your companion and your partner. And it's the two of you against the world type of thing. But Destiny, like Will Smith before him, and like many cuckolds and people who've been cheated on before, they feel horrible. And I can't imagine what Destiny's going through. But I can tell you this, he did it to himself. His narcissism, his arrogance, his complete disconnect from reality. There were many of us in the manosphere. It's not like he doesn't know the manosphere. He does. He's not an expert. He's not the expert, but he's one of them, right? And he knows all this stuff. He did his homework. He's seen videos that TFM has done about cuckoldry. He's seen videos that other content creators have done. He's seen videos that I've done about this sort of thing. So, there's a lot of us out there that have put out content that have had these conversations. And he's seen the rest of the manosphere plagiarize our content and regurgitate it and pretend it's theirs. So whether he saw our videos or he saw somebody who's plagiarized us, the information's out there. MGTOW is mainstream. You can tell because the marriage rate is through the floor, right? It's fallen through the floor. You have these children that have grown up and they're like, I don't want to marry a woman who's like the single mom who raised me. That's the reality. And many of these people don't even know what MGTOW is, but that's how they feel. Look at Henry Cavill. Henry Cavill basically said women are cancer. He's got a girlfriend that, he cares about and she seems to be a bit different. But on the same token, Henry Cavill knows that for all intents and purposes, most modern women are trash. So I think that, at the end of the day, when you understand that and you understand the wisdom and the reality of this scenario, you want to do your best to avoid it, Whereas Destiny, on the other hand, he sees the dangers of this and he says, yeah, I want to put my head on the chopping block. I think that would feel great to have my head disconnected from my body. I think it would be great to be divorce raped. That's awesome. Let's do that. Because again, these people think they're going to turn out better than anybody else when really all Destiny has done through this whole open relationship thing. He's become a statistic. He's become like everybody else. And the thing about it is he's so arrogant and he's so narcissistic, he's not going to learn. Feminists always double down and male feminists are the worst. So he's not going to learn. This will break him, and the feminist organizations will try to cancel him. And you have to understand that, part of the reason why the manosphere is failing is in part it's because of the constant attacks by feminists, but it's also because of the grifters who don't want to accept or don't want the public to know that all their knowledge comes from MGTOW. So at the end of the day, I hope that Destiny becomes a cautionary tale. If you're a male feminist, let your balls drop. Let your balls drop. Quit taking a dick in the ass. Don't believe the bullshit that your ex tells you. Don't drink her bull's cum. And just be a man. Be a heterosexual man. Have some standards. Believe in yourself. Be able to look at yourself in the mirror. Because the reality is that it's better to stand alone and know where you stand than to stand with a woman who is cheating, who is disloyal, who is conniving and dishonest, who's a gold digger and an abuser and a user, than to stand with any woman like that, right? So you have to understand that at the end of the day, everybody could see the second that Destiny said, I'm in an open relationship, everybody knows how it's going to end, right? And I think that, it's nice to go, ha ha ha, Destiny did that. But, when a relationship breaks down, the risk of suicide rises by 40% for men. And you look at Will Smith, and Will Smith is just, he's all over the map emotionally because of his wife cheating on him and then shoving it in his face with this whole open relationship bullshit, right? And to the point where he was trying to show his wife that he loved her by slapping Chris Rock, right? So I think that at the end of the day, all he did was embarrass himself. And nobody gave a shit. Nobody was like, oh, he shouldn't be part of the Oscars or whatever. I mean, Will Smith's a good actor, right? But when it came to his wife, he was broken. And let's be honest, right? If you truly love a woman, all of us, if you're a man, if you truly love a woman, if you've ever truly loved a woman, you know that you're vulnerable to her. You know that you're not going to have the same defenses against her that you're going to have with somebody else. And so when she breaks your heart, when she violates your trust, when she betrays your relationship, that hurts. It cuts to the quick, and it cuts to the quick in a way that few things do. And so it takes a while to recover. And I say this from personal experience, so it's not like I'm saying this as though this is somebody in the manosphere who knows these things. I say this because this is something I also experienced, and a lot of us did. I think TFM calls it, getting red pilled the hard way. And a lot of us do. So at the end of the day, Destiny needs to understand, and people like Destiny need to understand, you have an open relationship, your relationship's already over. It's already over. And he should have, the second that she asked for an open relationship, he should have dropped her like a bad habit. They don't have kids together. They don't have anything that ties them together. He should have dropped her right then and there. And moved on with his day. But he was such a cuck. He's like, oh yeah, that's great. That's why he's leaving. He knows the reality. He just can't face it. That's why he drops off these podcasts, because he can't accept the reality of his situation, and he can't accept the ridicule that comes with it. And let's be honest, there's also another takeaway from this whole scenario, and that's this. If you're on the left, if you're a male feminist, or you're somebody who's a feminist ally or a communist ally or a BLM ally, ESG, whatever you want to call it, right? Everybody gets the knife. The second that they're done using you, you go right into the trash bin. And Destiny he's on his way there, depending on what he does. If he continues to capitulate, they'll let him stick around a little bit longer. But if he tries to stand up for himself, they will cancel him, just like they canceled MGTOW and part of the manosphere thereafter. So you have to understand that unless he decides to be a complete feminist grifter, right, and he wants to support his strong, independent woman who raked him over the coals and is about to divorce rape him, they will crucify him even worse than he's already going to get. Destiny's in a no-win situation, and he's in a no-win situation because of his own doing. So he has to figure out what he's going to do. I don't think Destiny has any job skills outside of making YouTube videos. So, if they cancel him, who knows what he does? Maybe he ends up homeless. Maybe he ends up killing himself. Who knows? But whatever's going to happen to Destiny, I guarantee you, if he chooses not to capitulate or take a knee, they're going to destroy him. If he chooses to take the knee, they will humiliate him. Either way, it's a no-win situation for him.
That explains why he went. I'm just going to point out something about MGTOW. When DDJ says about canceling MGTOW, if you actually go to MGTOW groups and MGTOW forums, the involvement in MGTOW groups and forums that is not on. Actually, there's a surprisingly large involvement of MGTOW on Facebook. But if you go into these forums, these forums are larger now than they were a couple of years ago. When DDJ says cancel, what they mean is that they took the establishment websites and platforms, like say Reddit, for instance, booted MGTOW off their forums. MGTOW didn't die. MGTOW is continuing.
MGTOW's mainstream. MGTOW's mainstream. It's bigger than it's ever been.
Yeah, MGTOW is doing just fine. The cancel culture didn't work. The reason why it didn't work is because it's sort of like the very nature of MGTOW makes it very difficult to go up against it. The other thing I will also point out about this, and by the way, I may as well just get into it, because we've also got Hunter Avallone tonight as well. DDJ was talking about the doubling down effect. And that is exactly what Hunter Avallone did. Hunter Avallone is another, by the way, to give you some history of Hunter Avallone. Hunter Avallone was one of the guys who was back in the Gamergate days. He was one of the guys, along with Chris Ray-Gun and a few others, that were part. He was actually part of the Deplorables. By the way, Ethan Klein was also part of the Deplorables back then as well. Just a little history lesson there. Now, a lot of these guys were not necessarily. I mean, I am not conservative either by any stretch of the imagination, but a lot of these guys were more like classical liberal types. very, very clear that Hunter Avallone was, as was Ethan Klein. They were just there because that was the pop. I'm getting an echo from somebody. Okay. All right. Yeah.
Sorry, that was me. Go ahead.
All right. Yeah. So so Hunter Avallone was part, which is one of the reasons why I actually heard of him, and I actually respect, because I mean Hunter Avallone is a relatively smart guy. I remember listening to his content, and I remember occasionally drifting into his content after the fact, and it was like listening to his content a couple of years ago. It's like, is this the same guy I was listening to back in the Gamergate days? Because like, I mean, he went from being like somebody who appeared to have some critical ability to think clearly and to dissect what was going on with Gamergate to this like complete, like, I mean, there's been a few of them. Chris Raygun has been accused of this. Another guy who's been accused of maybe selling out a little bit is TJ Kirk, the amazing atheist. The only thing is I've listened. TJ Kirk was literally the first guy I started listening to on YouTube. TJ Kirk is like that with everybody. So I mean, TJ Kirk is actually being very consistent when he's coming after the right at the moment. But I mean, Hunter Avallone, just like unlike Chris Raygun, the only other person I can think of that would fall into that category who just did a complete 180 is Ethan Klein. And look what's happened to Ethan Klein, by the way. We won't even get into Ethan Klein tonight. But Hunter Avallone just went, and of course Hunter Avallone, unlike Destiny, Hunter Avallone at least had the brains to not construct this whole narrative. But again, right, he also took his runs at the Manosphere. Of course, he went on Undead Chronics show, and Hunter Avallone's take on Undead Chronics status was, well, I'm better than you because I have a wife and kids. Well, what ended up happening? This was very recent, by the way. Like, I covered this on Red Pill Nation 314, which is like a little over 6 or 7 months ago. His wife that he has a kid with, unlike Destiny, has an OnlyFans account. And on that OnlyFans account, she was doing stuff of, not just of a sexually suggestive nature, but she said she was open to doing stuff that, I mean, credit where credit's due. I mean, at least Melina didn't go there with Destiny, but Hunter Avallone's ex-wife did go there. And the thing about Hunter Avallone is that Hunter Avallone is not like Destiny. Destiny is a slimy little worm who is dishonest and is a little bit skivvy and will construct all these narratives and play games. Hunter Avallone, and I know this because I see this in myself to a great degree, arrogant, opinionated, egotistical fucking prick. Tries to act fucking better than everybody. If you disagree with him, and I know I see a lot of me in Hunter Avallone, right? So what ended up happening a few months ago is that his wife was cheating on him, and she was cheating on him in a different way than Melina was doing it. Was on video, like her OnlyFans account, and basically getting gang banged by a group of black guys, and having screen captures of her saying that yes, indeed, she would be up. That actually happened. And then saying that she would be up for having sex with camels if the money was right, and da da da. And of course, Hunter Avallone tried to snark and egotize his way out of it, and it didn't work. And of course, he got raked through the coals as well, and justifiably so. But I mean, he didn't. I will give credit where credit's due. At least Hunter Avallone didn't go around constructing a narrative. But I mean, yeah, Hunter Avallone. By the way, I didn't know this about Hunter Avallone, and when I get to the actual incident itself, apparently where he's living is only about 2 blocks away from where Tim Pool's studio is in Virginia. Little curious fact there, which is probably one of the reasons why Tim Pool found out so quickly. Anyway, so yeah, nasty, ugly. Hunter Avallone lost a lot of face. He tried to double down. He tried to snark and ego his way out of it, which only made it worse for him, right? Because unlike Destiny, who's just like trying to quietly slide away and have everybody forget, like Hunter Avallone was like Snark City, which of course didn't work because the evidence for him was out there, right? So it ended. He quietly went away. So instead, and DDJ and a couple other people here know what this is about. Instead of taking the time to maybe quietly rebuild, take the time to take a few months off and quietly reflect on what happened and some of the choices that he made. Nope, didn't do that. He hooked up with this girl on one of those, I don't want to say an adult site, but one of those, I think it was Tinder or something. I found this woman on Tinder, and like in less than 6 months after this humiliating breakup that Hunter Avallone had to go through, and there was and by the way, there is a kid involved with that divorce. This woman, less than 6 months after the fact, is in with him. Well, this woman has a mentally unhinged ex.
Are you recording? Conrad has shot Holly in the leg. Excuse me? We don't know. All I know is I got a call from my landlord that said he was trying to get into the building. The suspect, sorry. The suspect was trying to get into the building, and then there was something shady about it. We didn't know.
He had a gun under his coat.
And he had a gun under his coat when he came out, and then when we walked up,
fuck.
He's at the door. He's at the door.
Please come in. Please come in.
Please hurry, please. Okay, he's pounding really hard at the door. I hear shouting. I think I hear them.
I don't know whether she told him or not, but I mean, this is my personal issue with this. I don't think I mean, I've mentioned the primary reason why I went MGTOW. I don't usually get into the secondary reason why I went MGTOW, and this is something that Rearson saw a lot happen with me, with very rare exceptions. Almost every woman I think there's maybe only one or two women almost every woman that I was involved with in my 20s had a boyfriend. Almost all of them didn't mention that they were seeing somebody else. And I got into a couple of situations. One, I had to punch from, I was able to kind of like duck, bob, and I just happened to be in the right place, and I happened to duck, bob, and weave, and I managed to lose this guy. And the second time was in a bar, and the bar staff came over and broke up, and I actually told, because I was sober, I have been clean and sober for a very long time, but I told the bar staff, like, look, just hold him here for about 5-10 minutes, give me some time to get clear, and then let him go. And that's what happened. In both, like, the number of women that I was involved with that had I was the other guy more times than I care to admit. Most of the time, these women did not admit that they were seeing somebody else. I had to find out the hard way. And when I mean find out the hard way, I would have some guy come up to me and say, yeah, this woman that you're seeing, yeah, she's got a boyfriend. I just thought you should know that, right? Like, I think only a couple of them actually came straight out and said they were seeing somebody else, or they would only reveal it after I'd been with them for about a month or so. So I think what was happening is that Hunter was doing the white knight thing. So he was kind of like being the defender of this woman because she was hooked up with this mentally unstable guy. So Hunter was basically doing the white knight thing. Now, those of you who don't know what Hunter Avallone's style is, Hunter Avallone has this really snarky, arrogant, insulting way of dealing with people. So, yeah, I'm guessing what happened is, yeah, no fucking shit. He rubbed him the wrong way, right? And of course, the girl was probably already playing it. I mean, of course, this girl's ex also ended up having. It turns out that they had tracking pods in her stuff when she left. And oh, by the way, that's exactly how they hooked up. She hooked up with him. She broke up with the guy and just left and moved in with Hunter Avallone, right? Like there wasn't any feeling out process or anything like that. So what happened, I think it was yesterday or 2 days ago, the ex shows up at Hunter Avallone's place, and he knows where they live because he's got those iPod trackers in her luggage. Tries to break down the door, shoots the door. Some of the and it turns out it was just birdshot, but some of it got into his now ex-girlfriend or ex-wife's leg. Hunter Avallone runs out of the house and was cowering in the back. No, his now girlfriend was able to talk the guy down, and what ended up happening is that there was a exchange of gunfire between his now current girlfriend's ex and the police, and he ended up dying. All of the usual people all rallied around Hunter. It's like, oh, you poor guy, you poor individual, do you need any help and whatever. And I actually sympathize because I have had dangerous exes or dangerous guys that I didn't know were this woman's girlfriend try to physically threaten me. I got lucky, and it never evolved to the point where I actually got physically assaulted, but I did have to throw some punches. But I mean, I never actually ended up getting physically hurt. So it's like, my personal take on Hunter Avallone is the guy. Like, I mean, first of all, like, the breakup with this wife and this kid over the OnlyFans stuff. Like, I mean, that was humiliating, and he did not even take the time to process what happened. And this is what I talk when DJ talks about SJWs always double down. Like, instead of, and I mean, he has been told about this too. Like, he is aware of what some of the stuff that the manosphere has been saying about this, right? And this, by the way, this isn't just manosphere stuff. This is just like even relationship counselors pre-manosphere are talking about this. When you go through a nasty breakup like this, you take some time. You take a few months. You actually process the feelings, right? Like, you don't just jump back on and just act like nothing ever happened. And, he doubled down, and it went really badly for him. And, of course, his own attitude towards her ex probably didn't help, because Hunter Avallone is going to be fucking Hunter Avallone. He's going to be a snarky, smug, superior, arrogant asshole, and probably fucking rubbed the guy the wrong way, on top of everything else that his now ex-girlfriend was doing to him. Right? So, yeah, is Hunter Avallone completely innocent in this? No, he's not. I have some sympathy, but at the same time, Hunter Avallone fucking sold out for the cash. He's a fucking grifter. He isn't as much of a cuck to the cult of feminism that, say, Destiny was. But I mean, he definitely should have known better than when you're dealing with a fucking woman, there's certain things you got to know about a woman. And one of those fucking key things is there another guy in the picture? Yes or no? Right? This is one of the reasons why you don't get involved with married women. In fact, I just did an interview at 342 with, by the way, DDJ, I'd like to kind of like maybe hook you up with this guy so you can do an interview with him as well. So you ask questions like this, right? Because I got lucky on the occasions when these other guys showed up in my life. I was able, because I'm a fairly big guy, and I got some martial arts training and whatever. I was able to either punch my way out of it without getting hurt, or I was able to dip, duck, or dodge, or there was a third party in that was able to intervene and prevent me from getting lynched, right? Hunter was not that lucky. This guy showed up with a fucking gun, right? He didn't ask questions. He doubled down, right? And yeah, he got lucky. He got out of the situation alive. But how much of this is Hunter and how much of this is his current girlfriends and how much of this was his ex, I don't know. But I can tell you, based upon what I've seen and have experienced listening to Hunter Avallone, that I seriously doubt that he is completely blameless in this situation. And with that, I'm going to turn it over to Vinny.
Well, let's think about the old Southern saying: "If you lie down with devil dogs, you wake up with devil fleas." I think it's. I used to tell people, a lot of the time, that when you choose to tell the truth, you're going to lose a lot of your friends. You might lose the respect of your family. You might lose your job or your place that you're living in. All of that kind of stuff. But the new friends that you get are golden. They retain value, right? And if you sell lies, on the other hand, at some point, everything can come apart very easily, and you can just instantly lose all that stuff, as opposed to over time when you get into truth and you stop lying to yourself and stop lying to others. And there's a lot of associated benefits with it. For example, when you want, or rather when you need something, whatever it happens to be, you'll get it, but not before you need it. Right when you need it, that's when you'll get it. It'll be the exact thing you need, or in the exact amount you need, right at the time you need it. That's what happens when you tell the truth. Now, these relationship issues that these people are having, if they are dishonest at heart, how could they ever have an honest relationship? How could a good woman be interested in them? Because they're sitting there and they're lying to themselves, lying to others. And what woman's going to put up with that other than somebody who lies to themselves and lies to their husband or their boyfriend? So this is the moral question that we all must pose, is that our actions and the people we choose to associate with and the things we choose or choose not to do are essentially picking our own consequences in life. And this guy appears to have picked his. So with that being said, that was a very, very long breakdown, Naroki, I must say, and bravo to you. This is going to be like another 9-hour broadcast. Anyway, I'm going to pass it over to the next in the queue.
So here's the thing, right? Like, Hunter's wife cheated on him in the most humiliating way possible. And, doing an OnlyFans gangbang, nothing says let me hurt this guy as much as I humanly can, right? So what that tells you is that he didn't vet this woman before he married her. And that's an issue. Now, the reason that this is relevant is because basically Hunter got caught on the rebound by some online thought, right? And like you said, there was no transition period, there was no dating period. She moved in immediately, which means she was a grifter from the beginning, right? She was some mentally unstable grifter who's just, she basically literally she monkey branches from one dick to the next like a freaking monkey, right? Some kind of chimpanzee just going from dick to dick, as though they're branches as she's doing her brachiation thing. And
like in her kindergarten, the monkey bars looked very strange indeed. But continue.
Exactly. And so, as this dude shows up and he shoots her or shoots the door, and it makes you wonder, right? And I'm not, I look at it from a different perspective here, because usually when guys go after women like that, it's one of two reasons. One, it's because the woman is borderline personality, and they call borderline personality BPD. They call them crazy makers. And these women will make men crazy. They'll make men who are secure, men who are confident, they'll make them insecure and just, absolutely insane. And they do it on purpose, right? So, this woman she's not relationship material. She's trying to move in right away. That's number one. But number two, this guy, he let this girl get into his head, and it cost him his life. And then in addition to all of that, Hunter Avallone is the useful idiot, right? He's the person who is the canvas that this woman used to get this other man killed. So I think at the end of the day, that's an issue. Now, I think that Hunter Avallone has some responsibility in that he didn't properly vet this woman, which tells you that he's not a good decision maker, right? He's not somebody that anybody should be looking up to go, yeah, this is the guy I want to be like. No, you don't, because this is a guy who is such a poor decision maker that he finds the first mentally unstable thought, hooks up with her, moves her in because he thinks, wow, it's really important I get my dick wet. And then turns out that she's batshit crazy and has an ex who decides that, he wants to fucking aim a shotgun at you. That's a problem, right? Women will get you killed. People don't, that's the thing, women will get you killed. Borderline personality, all these women, bipolar women, they will get you fucking killed. You go to a bar with one of these women, they're flirting with somebody else because they want to get you into a bar fight, or they're addicted to drama and they want to fuck with you. This shit happens. It happens a lot. So all I'm saying is that, when it comes to these types of women, guys, you need to be careful. You really need to be careful. And I think Naroki made a comment earlier about, how the feminists are asking these guys, well, what is it, what, I don't know what it was. What was it, you look for a woman, or what kind of woman you want, or whatever,
the ideal woman. Yeah. What is the ideal woman? Of course, that's going to vary from guy to guy. Yeah.
Let me answer that question. The ideal woman, we're going to answer that question, but we're going to answer it in the negative. Okay. You don't want a woman with a criminal record. You don't want a woman who is still raising another man's children. You don't want a woman who's been diagnosed mentally unstable. That also includes women who have had to take medication for this lack of stability. You don't want a woman who is divorced, if you can help it, obviously. And you don't want a woman who lives with her family, like her parents or grandparents or whatever, right? Those are the women you don't want. They are not relationship material. You also don't want a girl boss. You don't want a woman who's a profound feminist. You don't want a woman with a bunch of tattoos. You don't want a woman with multicolored hairstyles. And any woman who says she's well-traveled, stay the fuck away from her. She's a superpower thought. The reason she's traveling is so that she's trying to fucking stay ahead of her reputation. So those are the women you don't want. Find yourself, if you're really going to look for a woman, don't look for any of these things, Spot the red flags. And the mental health issue is huge, absolutely huge. And if a woman says, "Oh, I'm a DV victim" or whatever, run, because 9 times out of 10, a woman who claims that she's a DV victim or something like that, she's not. She just got caught cheating, and she just said, "Oh, I'm," and raked the guy over the coals for doing it. You don't want to be the next victim in the line, okay? So stay the fuck away. But other than that, have at it. And I think with that, I'm done.
Okay, I'm gonna throw in. Okay, I posted up something in the chat called relationship green flags. This is something you probably will want to look for. Self-responsibility supports your personal growth, practices self-care, self-reflective, long-standing friendships, empathy, vulnerability, spirituality, self-sufficiency, healthy hobbies, communicates openly, honors boundaries. Yeah, there are some good stuff. There are some good things, but I mean, again, what each guy needs is going to vary. And this is the whole feminist narrative. It's like, well, what's the ideal? What's the ideal woman? What's the ideal? So, and it's kind of like it's a catch-22. I don't know what the actual fallacy is, but there's no correct answer, right?
Well, what you do with these women who say that, what you do is you say the ideal woman is a married woman, and they're like, what? You say, yeah, the ideal woman is a married woman. And then before they can say anything, you say the reason she's the ideal woman is because when you get done fucking her, she goes home.
I'm going to have to remember that. Yeah.
Fuck them if they can't take a joke.
So yeah, but it's going to vary from guy to guy, and there's no correct answer. If you answer in this way, then you're a misogynist and you're sexist and you hate women. But if you answer, well, gee, I don't know, it depends on the guy, then it's not defined, and they can take that and they can straw man that to project it out to the entire manosphere. But let's get
Could I weigh in
this?
here, because it's just talking about like basically natural law, your 7 basic rights. I forget exactly which all of them are, but if you're with a woman who could murder you, assault you, tell lies about you, steal from you, damage your shit, trespass on your property, or rape you, then you don't want to be with her, do you? Those are the very basic rights that all living organisms have. And if you're with a person who thinks that that's perfectly okay to do all of those things, walk in the other direction.
Basically, if she gets in the right of you, if she gets in the way of your fundamental right to thrive, physically, mentally, emotionally, and psychologically, spiritually, whatever, I think that would probably be the best way to sum it up. You know what? Let's keep this moving, because I kind of had a feeling we would be going a little bit long tonight. So V, you're up. Oh.
Yeah. Well, I don't know who this Destiny guy is. Originally, when you started talking about him, I thought it was a she and it was a stripper. I think this guy might identify as a strong, independent woman.
He might go trans over this. That's a very, very real possibility.
Yeah, well, I think that's why he likes the name Destiny. I've been with Destiny before. Yeah. Anyways, and that was her legal name. When you have these girls, red flag, when you have these girls whose legal names are these stripper names, yeah, that's a little foreshadowing, because these people have been worked on previously. Their path has been set for them before they were sentient, before they were born. Okay? Parents have a lot to do with this stuff, obviously. I'm like Eminem, where the parents at? So, I don't know, guys, but each generation, it's something weird. It's going to get weirder and weirder. Yeah. When it comes to guys like Destiny, yeah, he's been defeated as a man. So, what hill does he have to stand on? Being a feminist? Because he failed at life as a man? I mean, you gotta make that failure count for Reason? I don't know. Maybe the compensation. It's actually rather. These guys disgust me. They really do. These guys, that white knight, and this is nothing new. Okay, I mean, I I had to deal with these guys in high school. These guys, these incels, that just had no game whatsoever, but they're always around, ready to pounce on you when you mess up. Oh, you shouldn't call her that. Oh, you shouldn't treat her that way. And you can almost. I mean, these guys would nearly put their heads like a dog that wants to be pet. You're not paying a dog any attention, but he wants to be petted. You can really see these guys kind of doing that with their heads, rubbing up on these girls, wanting to get attention. And my God, did it make me sick. It's like, you have no game. So the only strategy you have is to try to make me look bad when I screw up. You should go work for the feds. You're that kind of a person. You fit right in. Go fill out an application at the NSA. Because you failed at being a man. You lack character. If you're one of these people. Do you know, back in the day, in the dictionary, underneath homosexual, the definition for homosexual, one of them is a person lacking character. If you look up gay, a man who's lacking in character. So what they're getting at is a man has character. What makes a man? His character. When you lack that character, well, you cease to be someone of right mind to be considered relevant. It's this irrelevancy that is being pushed in front of us because, of course, today, this day and age, that's what everything's about. So your eye is not on the prize. So these corrupt corporations and shadow governments can do whatever the hell they want, socially engineering us. No, you can't see the trees for the forest. I do believe, I mean, if you're going to have an open relationship, and some people might disagree with me, it just all depends. It's a lot more to it than just someone already cheating on someone wants to come out through that method. I mean, that's just one instance, one type situation, but you do have these people who are just fed up or they've given up. Open relationship is better than anything. I've actually recently had this conversation with a friend here who has a friend. She has a friend who, she has an open relationship with her boyfriend. The boyfriend was kept, bringing girls home so they could have a threesome. That was the way it was happening. And she thought if she did this, that he would stop going out and cheating. No, he kept going out cheating anyways. Quite recently, they went on a trip to Vegas, and this guy ends up banging another chick in the bathroom of the same room they're in while his girlfriend's passed out. Now, when you have somebody who is so desperate to cling on to someone and is willing to to compromise to the point of actually just giving up. There's no more compromising. You just let everything happen. And then you have the other individual who's a predator. Now, okay, predator might be a strong word, but I would say a hunter. Because what he's doing is hunting women. I've had to ask questions about the situation. Is the girl, does she have any kids? They're together, do they have any kids? No kids together. The guy is a slightly older guy, and he's already had his kids. It's like, oh, okay. Yeah, he's already done it. He's already done what he's supposed to do as a man. Now it's time to have fun or retire. Obviously, he's young enough to keep going, so of course he's gonna hunt from woman to woman to woman. He's a man. He's a hunter. So there seems to be no common ground in that situation. That's all. My advice is for them to split up, because you're trying to make. You have to be real. Be on reality's level for the sake of your own sanity. Don't try to make something out of nothing. Set yourself up with a better situation, because you're not gonna bend. You're not a reality warper. You're not just gonna just change things because your love is so powerful. Yeah. Really? You're gonna get an older guy who's already had kids, who's already basically lived his life, he's having fun, and you want him to do a round two? You're not being realistic. You're a younger woman who hasn't had kids yet and want to be in a serious relationship? With this guy? Be real. Go kiss somebody else. Women always catch these failures because they want a challenge. They want to fix a man. They want to. Every man has to be a project. How strong is my love? I can save this man. Oh, I can make him perfect. He's a perfect fixer-upper. And then they find out they don't make parts anymore for that make and model. That car is going to be stay broken in the garage. So I don't know why people just don't save themselves the trouble and just cut the string, find something else. Or, don't. You want to stick in an unhealthy relationship, that's fine too. A lot of people, that's the only kind of relationships that they can have. Some people, there's diminished needs for some that are great in others. Okay? You're finding the right woman. So that means you got to find the balance here. You got to find what works for you. Fit your morals and values. Has your same sex drive. There's 3.8 billion women on the planet. Guys can do it. Guys can do it. I as a pickup artist, I kind of don't. I really don't want to say it, but in a way, the manosphere, men going their own way. I understand it if you don't have the energy for it, but if you got the energy, just go find one that works. I know it's like looking for a needle in a haystack, but try it out, mix and match. It only takes one date. You can go on as many dates as you want, and you can laugh them all off. Who cares? Get laid, whatever.
Well, a lot of guys in MGTOW actually do get laid, and they do have short-term relationships. They just don't cohabitate or marry, just FYI.
Well, that is, you gotta. I don't know. I don't want to waste anybody's time. Especially I have so much of my time wasted. I'm gonna let you know up front what it is. Although that doesn't work all the time either. So when I tell girls what it is, they challenge that. Oh, I'll make you mine permanently. Oh, hey, I want to bring a couple friends by in the bedroom tonight. How do you feel about that? No, you're mine only. Yeah, what about your previous boyfriends? What you had flings with? Yeah, I'm so different. Yeah.
They don't count.
Yeah, and it's just we have needs, and then you have guys like Destiny. Again, their failure, guys like him, their failure has to be our loss as well, and I don't agree with that mainly. He should not be a spokesperson. He failed. He failed at life. He failed at relationships. He's failing in philosophy. For the fact that anybody could prop this guy up, have him speaking for men, I mean, there's something broken. There's social engineering in the works that is not so obvious. But we need to track it down. We need to nip it in the bud. And that'll pass it on.
I'll try to be quick on this one. This has been a long.
I kind of I had a feeling this particular section was gonna go for a while.
Yeah. So earlier tonight, I had taken the time to show the spouse from Japan. English is not her first language. This guy named Destiny. On YouTube, she went, Destiny. It's like, that's more or less a name for a woman. I'm like, yep, exactly. And here's a picture of him. And she basically had said, and I'm sorry to do this, but I mean, I took a shower while this topic was just going on and on and on and on. But she said that his hair being dyed blue looks better on a peacock. And if she's getting all of this from her initial reactions, like, there's nothing masculine about this guy. I can't say it any other way, but he is not. I might be one to talk. Okay, I know that I'm not the most masculine man out there, but fuck, it's this is a wonderful case of self-destruction, in my honest opinion. And much like if I was to become single, I assure you, the flaming red hair, like the the color of big red, shall we say, the feminist. Stay away from women like her, or if it's pink, or pastel blue, or God, I'm starting to list off the colors of the pedophile flag. But anyway, anything that's not natural, whether it's the hair color, to a certain extent, I can tolerate some coloring, but it's the unnatural hair colors for a woman or on a woman's head. To me, that is the first red flag. I'm like, no, I am not going to go there. She might be, as Terrence Popp has said, she's probably crazy, which is the best sex you can get. But I don't want to be dealing with, a Glenn Close fatal attraction situation, and I'm not going to. And my mother-in-law has said this, and my wife has said this as well, is that if a woman takes your man, or a man takes a woman, if if you did that to that person, it'll happen to you. And that's exactly what's happened here in this case. And I have to say that looking at his ex, on a scale of 1 to 10, I'll put her at about 5.5 to 6. Like, she's not that special. I mean, she's got nice skin, attractive enough. Would I go after her? No, just because of my preferences, which is all on me. But I mean, all it's going to take, and Hiroki and I were talking about this earlier, well technically yesterday, I think we were talking about this earlier this morning. All it's going to take is for some guy to make her eyes roll into the back of her head, and she's likely to leave. Or in this case, he was threatening to kill himself. Now, I don't know about any but you gents here, but clearly she's not thinking. She's not being smart about all of this, and that's her choice. Fine, fuck, whatever. But like, there was nothing in this relationship that was going to be stable or that would last the test of time right from the beginning. Now, if he wasn't so much of an asshole, if he didn't display the tactics in the debate, as Hiroki, you had brought up earlier, you would have to go into it with the Jordan Peterson tactic. It's like, okay, well, which point do you want me to answer? Because you're throwing 4 or 5 of them at me, or you're over talking, or you're constantly butting in. So either you sit down and shut the fuck up, or yeah, you're going to win by default, but I'm going to call you out on this because your debating skills are abysmal, absolutely horrible. So I really honestly don't have much more to say on this one. And since we're segueing into Hunter Avallone, which I'm assuming is what we're doing next.
Well, actually, yeah, you can answer on both. Because, yeah, sorry, I did kind of skip over you and V by accident. So,
that was a little bit grating. Anyway, Hunter Avallone, fuck, whatever. If you're going to open yourself up to that kind of a relationship, I'm sorry. Just like Destiny, you get what you deserve. Is he dick thinking? I don't know. Is he out there to did he try to fill a void too soon? Yeah, probably. Will he learn from this? I don't know. I don't care. I really don't care. Like, this is someone you have mentioned in passing with our podcast over the years. If we didn't talk about him tonight, I wouldn't know who he was. And I really don't fucking care. I'm more interested in Destiny just because of how much of a douchebag the guy is. And I can only wonder if she insisted on having him clean her out when she got plowed and pumped and dumped. Wouldn't surprise me, which is probably why that he got so reactive with people in his interviews where he was called a cock. I would not be the least bit surprised. Now, if you did or not, doesn't matter to me. I still don't give a shit. So, and on that, my friend, I'm done.
Yeah, all right. I'm just going to reiterate some of my points here. Destiny, yeah, I hope you get raked over the coals in your divorce. I hope you have to go through what all those other men that you were... Again, I said this earlier, but I'm going to say it again. I hope you have to go through what all those other men that you so fucking snarkily and arrogantly fucking dismissed in a lot of those interviews that you did on the Manosphere. I hope you fucking have to go through all of that, right? I hope your fucking divorce is long and ugly and painful. You know, I hate seeing a guy have to go fucking through it, but I think that's honestly the only fucking way I think you're going to learn, right? Go through it. Right? I hope you fucking go through it, and I hope it leaves you fucking humbled and humiliated to the fucking point where you either completely transform as a person or you just go away. As for Hunter, I kind of identify with Hunter Avallone because I've had, as I said before, and Rearson was around for a couple of these women that neglected to tell me about their status. Right? And again, this wasn't the main reason why I went MGTOW, but it was a solid fucking second, right? Women who left out details about the guy they were with previously, and it turns out the guy they were with previously was mentally unstable, a drug addict, an asshole, right? And that shit got visited upon me. Had to throw punches on a couple of occasions, got away intact every single time. But the fact of the matter is that every single one of those situations that occurred with me, right, the woman neglected to tell me her status. Now, we still got a couple of other topics here to cover tonight, and I had a feeling we were going on long. So unless anybody else has any last comments to say, we're going to move on here.
The only thing I have to say is that I'm actually starting to fall asleep. So, not because of the subjects, but just because it's been such a long day. But yeah, I think that we've pretty much covered everything.
Okay, so yeah, let's move on to the next topic here. Okay, well, turns out Tucker Carlson, when Elon Musk took over. Oh, by the way, I was looking on Elon Musk actually flew to Romania and did an interview with Andrew Tate. That's one that I'm going to be looking at. And when Elon Musk took over Twitter, he reinstated a bunch of profiles. He didn't reinstate Alex Jones. Alex Jones was still banned. By the way, I still have a couple of accounts I hadn't even bothered to bring back up online, even though I probably could.
I was taken off Twitter, not for the Sandy Hook stuff that came later that they focused on. Look it up. They had the former head of Twitter and the lawyer on Joe Rogan about 4 years ago. And Joe said, "Why did you ban Alex Jones?" The lawyer goes, "Okay, let me open my clipboard." She goes, "Here's why. He was mean to Oliver Darcy." So I'm at the Capitol. They're having censorship hearings. Sundar Pichai's there. I just confronted him in the hall.
Who runs Google.
And you guys are welcome to use that if you want. And then that was at the Senate. So now they were going over to a House meeting, and there's Oliver Darcy in the line. He gets to get in. I don't even get into a hearing where they then attacked me. They'd attacked me at the last hearing, but I don't get to face my accuser. And so I get in his face. I don't threaten him, but I say, "You are an evil man. You're un-American, coming after my free speech, harassing my sponsors, trying to get me off the internet." And the last place I was on was Twitter. They'd held out. And so Jack Dorsey had held out. And so Jack Dorsey admitted, well, the last straw was I bullied Oliver Darcy. And so that's why I was deplatformed. Elon Musk thinks it was the Sandy Hook thing. And notice.
Do you know that in most cultures, bullying Oliver Darcy would be like a rite of passage? Like you couldn't, like that would be a positive good, right?
Well, but here's the thing. He's literally on Twitter taking my sponsors, calling for me to be silenced. So he's been attacking me, attacking my speech and my living. And then all I do is shove a camera in his face while he's waiting to go into the hearing for 5 minutes and say, "Man, you are un-American. You got some evil eyes." And I said, "You really look like a piece of slime." I mean, I told him that. And,
fair.
And so the point is, he's a man. He's a, quote, journalist in the arena. He goes around harassing people and stalking them financially and their free speech. He'd already bragged that he'd gotten me taken off all this other stuff and that he was instrumental, which he was. And then he can't take me saying, "Man, you're a jerk."
Tucker Carlson did an interview with Alex Jones. Because Tucker Carlson is with Twitter, there was a bit of fallout on Twitter, and what Elon Musk decided to do is that he did a poll. Should I bring Alex Jones back? Popular vote wins. Alex Jones got over 70% of the vote. The leftists are, once again, absolutely and utterly losing their fucking minds over this particular issue. But I mean, and of course, they're questioning the poll and the fact that Elon Musk did it. No, he didn't do it properly, and all of the other stuff. But it's sort of like, well, you know what? The crowd on Twitter has spoken. If you don't like it, well, Mastodon's available. Threads, by the way, on Instagram is also rapid. I mean, although it doesn't have anywhere near the traffic that Twitter does, Threads is also on Instagram is rapidly also going that way based upon what I've been seeing over there. But I mean, yeah, it's looking like Elon Musk is at some point going to bring Alex Jones back. Now, Alex Jones has had a really bad. I mean, the legal system. It's very clear that the legal system was basically trying to crush him He's not able to use bankruptcy to hide behind, basically, and then of course after the parents of the people who sued him in the first place literally tried to extort money out of Alex Jones and said, "Oh, well, we won't take the settlement, but if you pay us something like 8 or 9% of the settlement straight up, we'll leave you alone." So basically they used the suit to try to extort Jones out of money. Alex Jones is obviously not going to pay, and Alex Jones is they've turned him from a pariah into somebody who's becoming somewhat sympathetic. I'm going to say this for the record. I haven't been a big peruser of Alex Jones. I mean, I've seen a few episodes with him on, but I've never been a big hardcore Alex Jones fan, even back when he was basically doing Coast to Coast AM when George Norrie had him on quite a bit. Really appreciated him exposing the globalists before everybody else started to get on board. That I can definitely appreciate him for. In the end, what's probably going to happen out is that the settlement is probably going to get this judgment against him is likely going to get overturned. And by the way, thank you, DDJ, for stepping up here. And it got overturned, and it's going to go that way. But I mean, again, right? You're seeing Alex Jones claw his way back. Now, is he going to come back to Twitter? I don't know. But again, Tucker Carlson, and this is when we talked about Tucker Carlson going over to Twitter, and we said we were going to see what the real Tucker Carlson was like when he gets there. And I mean, Tucker Carlson he's going over. He's talking to Andrew Tate. He's talking to Alex Jones. He's bringing in all of these guests that Fox would never have allowed him to. And his credibility has shot up because of it. Again, I'm not gonna be suddenly become a super Alex Jones fan, because I mean, yeah, he did stick his foot in his mouth when it came to Sandy Hook, and I will also say though that there is stuff that happened at Sandy Hook that is incredibly suspicious, although not as suspicious as the stuff that happened in Uvalde, Texas, by the way. And but yeah. Looks like Alex Jones is coming back, and I don't know. I mean, you have to start worrying about maybe Twitter turning all the frogs gay, but other than that, I don't have anything else to say. So, Vinny, you're up.
I was a big Alex Jones fan. I think his 3-hour daily radio show was like on repeat in my house. I listen to what I consider to be too much Alex Jones. All right, and listening to a show too much does things to you. You can't really have normal conversations with somebody. Honey, do you want the cupcakes with the yellow icing or the purple icing? 9/11 was an inside job. You haven't got a handle on peaceful reality because you're just full of all this conspiracy. Rah, 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 rah. We'll defeat your tyranny. And I don't think I got too much bad from Alex Jones thinking about it. I had been hired to do American Freedom Radio by his former producer, Danny Romero. I was mentored by Alex Jones's former sit-in host, Jack Blood, and they told me things about him. Like one time, Jack was in the studio and a great guest is on, and Jack's doing a great interview, as he does. He's Jack Blood. And then the phone rings in the first ad break, and it's Alex Jones's wife screaming down the phone at him, screaming about not biting the hands that feeds him, how Alex Jones is the only one that interviews all the good guests, this kind of thing. And he went to dinner at his friend's place, who's also a talk radio show host, and his friend's phone rings, and it's Alex Jones. And he says that Jack Blood is trying to set him up that he's working for the New World Order, and you better watch out. And this guy's looking at his friend across the table, his friend Jack Blood across the table, going, "Okay, Alex, all right." Hangs up the phone, and then Jack's phone rings and tells him that his friend at the other end of the table is working for the New World Order and is trying to set him up. And that's when Jack realized Alex Jones uses the tactics of the New World Order because he knows them. He uses them against other people that might compete for the number one spot in Austin, Texas radio, and now in worldwide truthing circles. There's always only, and ever will be, number one, Alex Jones, while he's alive, isn't it? Got a whole bunch of people like Aaron Dykes and Jason Burmis. He saw these people who are like really talented and doing their thing, and gets them to work for him instead. And none of these guys have really come necessarily public with the things that they've seen and had happen and what have you, but you're basically just talking about a megalomaniac, all right? Somebody who's trying to do the right thing, allegedly, and somebody who is exposing a hell of a lot of truth, no doubt. But just because we do good things doesn't mean we're necessarily nice people, you see? Sometimes we are wearing a mask, and Alex Jones, I believe, is one of those people. But that being said, I believe, like the Bank of Israel does, you need to give credit when it's due. With that being said, I'll hand it on.
V, you're up. V, you're up. Oh, there we go.
Yeah, Alex Jones. Well, I know Vinny doesn't care for Alex Jones. I've heard the stories. If he comes back, I think that's great. Simply for the fact that, freedom of speech. Why should anybody be singled out? Man committed no crimes. He stupidly lost the lawsuit against the Sandy Hook people. Sued over your freedom of speech. Nobody was defamated. And nobody was defamed. Nobody was slandered. But he said there was an op. Specifically, a government op. For the simple fact that he got sued lets me know that he was probably correct. We need people around critical thought who is willing to speak against the bull crap the government's doing. He comes back and gets bigger than ever. Hey, that's great. I personally will be, let's say so much will be talking to some of those people. So I'm going to take every avenue humanly possible to get more attention to my documentaries. I've been kicked off Facebook for so long, but the person that manages my pages, they're telling me that I'm still every day gaining likes for documentaries. My documentary page. I've got over 150,000 views. So I know, and not one negative comment. I know when I put these documentaries together, I know I was dealing with complex concepts and technology, but I brought everything down to a third grade level and explained it nice and slow. So if Facebook is doing this thing where it's slowing you down, but yet people are still seeing it. Well, imagine what would happen if I'm working with people who have a bigger voice than mine, can let me work with them. And imagine me being on a platform that does not censor me. So we talk, ladies and gentlemen. I'll be bringing millions of people to the platform. So yeah, I mean, Alex Jones can do Alex Jones. Yeah. He's got to make some money some way. He's got to pay these Sandy Hook people, right? You can't just blackball a guy, take all his money and blackball him. You got to make a slave out of him, because he's going to be working the rest of his life to try to have something for himself and get this $1 billion off. Yes, slavery still exists, ladies and gentlemen. It just doesn't look like it did 300 years ago. Yeah, anyways, I'll pass it on. Go ahead.
Was someone that did worship the ground that he walked on. I can't remember what it was that turned me off to him, but I find him to be questionable. I guess that's the nicest words I can use. But, I mean, then again, Bill Cooper, when he was still alive, did not have anything good to say about the man. He had called him out, and the theory that he was that comedian because the teeth, even though they look like they've been surgically altered just enough, the structure of his teeth, especially his lower jaw, gives the impression that he's Bill Hicks. That's who it was. He looks like Bill Hicks. And for someone like him and his stature to keep saying the things that he's been saying, and at some point to not be approached, shall we say, and to walk away unscathed or unchanged. This would be, shall we say, back in the day. I find it to be pretty much honestly impossible. I mean, I've seen some footage of what Jones looked like when he was starting off, and I don't think it's the same guy. I really honestly don't. Given the level of infiltration and the level of control that Mossad, the Israeli intelligence agency, has worldwide, I mean, just like Maxwell's father, he was a Mossad agent, and he had a drowning accident off of his yacht, mysteriously enough. Now, we did talk about him getting booted off of Twitter at the time, and there's one former coworker that I was being polite with on Crackbook, and the man's I can only describe him honestly as being a libtard. Like he really is in his own fucking bubble. But he was saying that this was a great thing. No, he wasn't. I don't think he was too sad that Jones got kicked off of Twitter. And he was certainly celebrating when he lost that court case.
Can I interrupt for just 1 second here? Because it's important to notice that Jones didn't get deplatformed off of Twitter. He got deplatformed off of Twitter and Facebook and YouTube on the same day. It was the beginning of the age of deplatforming, and I said on that day when that happened that if people sit back and let this happen because they don't like Alex Jones or something, they'll start deplatforming everybody who disagrees with the agenda, and they did.
And that's what I was getting to as well, is that he didn't see it being a problem because it was someone that he didn't like. And my attitude towards the man had shifted quite a bit. I was very much into him going into 2018, 2019, and then I don't know what it was, but my interest in him just it fell off the cliff. And he's a character. That much I can say, figuratively and literally. He plays off of the drama. I can't really say it any other way, but he looks like he's acting, for lack of a better way to say it. And that's fine. To each their own. I don't really care. But I see him as, at best, controlled opposition. I mean, he's gone fairly hard on some topics, but strangely enough, when it comes to Pizzagate, the pedophile rings, he doesn't touch that shit. Like, he really doesn't. Or at least I don't think he has recently enough. And I don't feel that is any... I don't think that that's coincidental in any way, shape, or form. So, Jones will be Jones, whether they're turning the frogs gay or whatever. As for Musk turning it back on the platform, and I'm going to state the obvious as well too, the fact that he had been, they were conspiring against him, that the government was conspiring against him to tell the platforms at the same time, cut him off. That's not coincidental. I'm sorry to say that, folks, but it just isn't. So, he's back on Twitter. Great. X, whatever. Yay. Woohoo. Hurrah. Much like Hunter Avallone. I just don't give a shit. I really don't. So, Rookie, you might want to unmute yourself because I got nothing more to say. You're still muted.
There we go. Oh yeah. Sorry, man. It's yeah. Thank you, DJ, for showing up. Yeah, I'm back, Vinny.
for the awkward flood.
Okay, so the last topic, and we're gonna go right to Canada. We're gonna finish this off with Canada. So, as it so turns out, this is something that's not generally well known outside of Canada. Although there are I'm surprised at the number of people who knew this. Justin Trudeau came up with a corporate bailout for the establishment media in Canada. It was just under $600 million. Well, it became very, very obvious, especially when Pierre, and we covered this I think it was 2 weeks ago, when Pierre Poilievre just took this reporter just absolutely to task, and the mainstream media tried to platform this into an actual attack, saying, oh, well, no, Pierre Poilievre is going to lose all his popularity. It turns out that when the polls came out, not only did Pierre Poilievre not lose his popularity, but it's almost at the point now where Poilievre is actually got more support than the NDP and the Liberals put together. Basically...
Sorry, Naroki, if I may just step in here very quickly. That $600 million was it was to help strengthen publishers within Canada. That was in 2018, I believe.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So despite all that money, despite all the help that he got from the government, it got him a couple of elections, barely thank God he didn't win the majority. That's all I'm going to say with both situations. But it's very clear, and it's because the media has just lied so much, so often. So I mean, that whole thing with the trucker convoy, I think that was the straw that broke Canada. Actually, that wasn't the straw. That was a 2x4 across the head, across the face of Trudeau. Right? The media tried, especially if you went on Twitter at the time, the media tried so hard to push this narrative, and it just didn't work. And the media lost a shit ton, at least in Canada. I can't say where whenever else, but in Canada, CBC, CTV, and Global just, and then also the stuff with COVID. In particular, CBC, and to a lesser extent, CTV. I don't know. Global has somehow not. I don't know what it is about Global. So far, Global has not fallen down the rabbit hole as far as CBC and CTV. I mean, CBC is just an absolute freak. I mean, to give you an idea of how bad CBC is, on Facebook, if you go to CBC Canada or CBC Alberta or CBC British Columbia or CBC Ontario, you can't comment on their news stories anymore because they were just getting absolutely, especially during the COVID situation, because they were just getting absolutely ripped to shreds on social media. So they don't allow comments on their posts anymore. At least they didn't at that time. Maybe they have now. I haven't checked. But this thing with the media, I mean, they tried. I mean, they really, really tried very hard to smear Poilievre for calling out that reporter. And what happened with that reporter is that there was a situation that happened at the Rainbow Bridge near Niagara Falls that looked at the time that appeared to be a terrorist incident. And that's what Poilievre said. And he was basing it off something he saw on CTV, that it appeared to be a terrorist incident, and Trudeau didn't have the answers because Trudeau had only been recently brought up to speed on it, too. And this female reporter, tried to nail Poilievre on a gotcha, and it didn't work. So rather than shutting up about it, they pushed it. They pushed it so hard, especially on Twitter, that they would post the stuff up, and it would, all of these mainstream media reporters would post the stuff up, and it would just get destroyed. But they kept pushing, right? Well, guess what? It's not. It's. I don't think it's a coincidence, because it's become very obvious that the mainstream media just cannot run block for Trudeau anymore. But that's not going to stop Trudeau, because he somehow managed to find another $129 million to bail out the mainstream media companies. This also, though, happened to run on the heels of the fact that CTV had to lay off, I think it was 1,500 or 700 workers, and CBC also had to cut staff, and all of this happened in 1 week, right? Very little sympathy was given. There's a lot of people in the media, of course, that were crying the blues about this, and then the response to them was, well, I didn't see you crying the blues when all those people who refused to get vaccinated lost their jobs. Sorry, where were you when that was going on? Right? So there was no sympathy. So then they tried to pivot and blame it on Poilievre, because Poilievre doesn't feel, at least in Canada anyway, Pierre Poilievre does not feel like playing nice.
I thought Poilievre in Canada were endangered.
I think they might have been too. Poilievre doesn't want to play nice with the media in Canada, especially not CBC or CTV. Now they're trying to blame him for it, and it's like, well, just like we were talking with, I mean, they were talking about people. With the exception of the Alex Jones story, every single one of the stories this week on the Red Pill Nation has been about the consequences of their own actions. it doesn't matter which country you're in. The mainstream media has lied so much, so often, so frequently that, I mean, their credibility is effectively gone. Now, what's happening in Canada is that Justin Trudeau, I mean, is doing everything in his power to try to rein in the alt media and try to rein in the internet before he calls another election. Because it's legitimately the only way he even has a sliver of a chance right now. Because, like I said, right? Like, they're like, and everybody knows that they're doing this. What the media is basically doing is they're just like throwing everything they've got at Poilievre, right? Hoping that something sticks so that they can gain some momentum before 2025 when Justin Trudeau has to call an election in 2025, period. He's in a minority government, but I don't think the NDP, although what happened at the recent New Democrat Party convention, the police got called in because things got really angry and things got really violent because I think people are getting sick of even though Jagmeet Singh got the majority vote. Things got really heated, things got really angry, and it's very clear that there's a faction inside the NDP that is getting tired of their woke bullshit. And I think that faction, by the way, I'm going to point something out here about me. Up until about 2 or 3, was it 2? No, 3, 4 elections ago, I generally voted New Democrat, right? So the New Democrat Party, and this is exactly what I figured was going to happen, is on the verge of caving in on itself because they're woke bullshit. And by the way, I'm also going to point this out about that pronoun situation in Saskatchewan, right? Like the NDP stepped out provincially. I mean, the NDP stepped out and was like literally attempting to defend the rights of pedophiles to have fucking access to kids is what they were doing. When that got exposed, they immediately shut up, but they were trying it. And that's what's happened with the NDP. So the NDP, and by the way, Jagmeet Singh is also a young global leader, just like Trudeau, which is why they're together on this. But I mean, yeah, time's running out. And again, right, they're trying to lay this at the feet of Pierre Poilievre, and it's not. It's like, just like Disney, just like Starbucks, just like Destiny, just like Hunter Avallone, just like a lot of the hubs we've been covering tonight. The cows, to put it politely, the cows are coming home to roost. Or in the way I describe it, karma is knocking hard at the door, and it's all starting to catch up with them. And what you're starting to see now is you're starting to see more direct government intervention with this globalist attempt at taking over, because they all of their other methods of being able to sway the population are failing at a rapid rate. And of course, we all know where that leads. But I'm done. Vinny, you're up.
Yeah, it seems to be a repeating theme here, isn't it? People are actually finally getting comeuppance for their scumbaggery. I gotta love that. And because it's difficult to see hope unless you see very positive news, which is why I think I've been telling a lot of people lately, 80% of the war effort, Napoleon said, was just keeping morale high, keeping the will to fight, and keeping people actually wanting to be there. And you can't do that without celebration, really. You got to celebrate your victory. So let's raise a drink to all these people who are getting their comeuppance. I think justice is the reason why people get traumatized and wake up. They have a thirst for justice. They think what happened to them is very wrong. And as a result, they dedicate themselves in various different ways to trying to justify what happened to them. However bad it was, whatever woman did it to them, or whatever organization destroyed them in some way, shape, or form, or made their life significantly uncomfortable, if they didn't get payback at that time, that's going to niggle at you, because you're going to find out that it's a much bigger problem that affects much, much more people than just you. And so that's why I'm glad to be on this show with you, Naroki. Good on you, mate.
Thank you, Vinny. V? Key with the slow unmute button. There we go.
Just saying.
The V stands for very, very slow. With the mute button.
Right now, it means very unopinionated. And I'll skip on this one.
All right, Verson, take us out.
Yeah, fair enough. Okay, so context here. Jagmeet Singh is leader of the New Democrat Party in terms of American politics. This is now more or less the mainstream form of the Democrat Party politically. Not to say that the liberals aren't any better. Typically, they're more center-based, but anything right of Marx is extreme. 130 some odd, about $130 million sent to the CBC. Fucking shocker. Oh, CBC is the Canadian Broadcasting Corporation, which is the, now more than ever, let's be honest with ourselves, at least for Canadians, is the government broadcasting company. Someone I used to play role-playing with, he was very supportive of the CBC, thinking that it was a great thing. I would love to have a debate with him at this point, kind of go, and how is this any different than, the North Korean news agency or whatever is passing for news over in mainland China, for example? Don't like it, don't trust it, don't want it, but it's there. I mean, I had mixed feelings at the time when CBC lost their contract with the NHL, because that was their biggest moneymaker. And for those of you that don't know, hockey is really fucking big in Canada. I think it's almost as big as the NFL in terms of what Canadians like to watch, but that's, I don't know, debatable. And that was, I think that happened about 2015, I think, maybe 2014. But that's when the CBC had to actually start to become a company and to have a budget and to have a reasonable budget. Last I heard, they were getting $1.1 billion federally. And that number, I think, was about 2, maybe 3 years ago. So this really is not that, to me, this is not all that surprising. Given the fact that I don't know how many Canadians have cut the cord from cable, but CBC is, well, no, TV overall, I think that they're losing more and more eyeballs. I mean, out west here, Rogers, which is based out of Toronto, ended up buying the Shaw Communications. So they've just gotten that much more bigger. I don't know if they bought Shaw Media or not, but it doesn't really matter. I don't really care. But when it comes down to it, I mean, I suppose at the end of the day, only the most diehard Canadians that want pure Canadian content first and foremost will watch or listen to CBC. I don't know about the other, I don't know about CTV, which is, I guess, Canadian television, and Global, which Again, I don't know if it's still Shaw Media or if they're still or if they actually are independent of Rogers or not. And CTV is now as part of Bell Media, which is one of Canada's largest. Well, it's one of Canada's four. It's one of Canada's four cell phone providers, for example. It's really just all mixed up into one. You got 3 to 4 players. You got 4 players that, in varying degrees, have different media outlets, are branches to their business. Now, honestly, I've stopped listening to everything from CBC a long fucking time ago. When I had cable, I never watched it, so they were getting their portage tax or their portage fee. It's required in the basic cable package, whoever it's going to be through, as regulated by the government. Funny enough, especially after the $600 million boost for Canadian journalism, I lost all interest in not just TV, but I lost any credibility that there was for mainstream news was gone. I couldn't do it anymore. Like, I really honestly couldn't do it anymore. So don't miss it, don't want it, and I'll be honest with you folks, I'm good without it. So as much as I would love to see the CBC be permanently canceled, it ain't going to happen anytime soon. And they're incredibly left-leaning. So, and I think that's the other aspect as well too, as to why they're losing, why they have to get a bail-in from the government, is that, like I said, the eyeballs and the clicks are just probably not going there anymore. So that's all I got to say, man. I'm done.
Okay, let me thank DDJ for showing up. Yeah, I had a feeling because of what happened with Destiny Hunter Avallone. I mean, that whole section took an hour and 48 minutes to get through. That could have almost been an entire episode all on its own. I had a feeling we were going to go a little bit long tonight, and we did. Interesting episode. I'm glad it didn't. Just giving you a heads up, 346 is next week, and then we go into the holidays, and I'm also going to be back out working again because I got. I'll give you the details off the air. I'm seriously good, depending upon how busy the news cycle is next week. I will decide upon whether I'm just going to do a 346 or whether I'm going to, or a 347 or 348. I will decide whether I want to do 347 and 348 back to back. And 347 and 348 are going to be the year in review and the prediction of and the guess and speculation as to what's going to happen for 2024, which is shaping up to be a really interesting year. And yeah, we'll do the review of 2023. I tend to want to do the review of the year of as close to the end of the year as possible because stuff could still happen. But thank you all for showing up tonight. I've still got some. Like I said, I still got a bunch. I still got a bunch of content. Everything is up to date in terms of the edits. The videos are sitting on there, but I discovered some stuff about YouTube again. Yet another reason why I'm not promoting any of my YouTube content. But those of you who don't know, I'm on Patreon as the Rookie 5. I'm subscribed star as the Red Pill Nation. And thank you very much for listening. For everybody who stayed around tonight to listen to me talk. We're gonna do the same damn thing again next week. Hell, I might even start doing a live stream on this at some point.